premier off-road racing. 50 years of battling the gnarliest woods racing on the planet. It's time to start a new chapter. The next 50 years starts now.
GNCC is back on RacerTV.com for the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC, the Matthews family farm here in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, just across the road from High Point Raceway. These are certainly hallowed grounds, and it is Bryson Neal who looks to return to the center of the box after a big win at the Hoosier just a couple of weeks ago. Or will Walker Fowler, perhaps Hunter Hart, or the red-hot Wyatt Wilkin get to the center? All that and more starts right here, right now, on RacerTV.com.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing!
Round number 8, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC. Johnny, we are over the halfway point of the 2025 season. Two things have remained the same. One, that is Bryson Neal is dominating. He has almost a 2-race lead as far as the points are concerned. And we have another GNCC with more rain.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, Mikey, I mean, Bryson Neal has been so dominant so far here throughout the 2025 season, with 5 wins in 7 races. And, you know, he's just built this huge points gap. And you know, his nearest competitor was Walker Fowler, still is Walker Fowler, obviously having a very rough round 2 races ago, dropping 30 points on the day to Bryson, and now leading to what we talked about, nearly a 60-point 2-race lead. And coming into today, you can bring into question the conditions, but one thing you know for sure is going to happen out there. There's going to be some great racing action, but with the rain coming down like it was yesterday, we really don't know entirely what we're in store for, but we know it's going to be wild.
That's it. And, you know, we can't mention wild without mentioning a guy like the wild Wyatt Wilkin. He's coming off finally a second-place finish for him. And just, I mean, he was ecstatic at the post-race interview about, I think, having a finish that he knows he's capable of, and he feels like he belongs there fighting for those podiums. Wyatt's a guy I think can fight for a win. You can't tell me at this point in his career, in this season, he doesn't want to add his name to the wins list.
No, absolutely. You know, Wyatt Wilkin, with that number 3 on his bike, established himself as one of the championship contenders coming into 2025. And as you pointed out, and as he's pointed out many times this year, the frustration at the end of the races is just not getting the finishes, not having the races that he wanted. Had some really bad ones with some no points scored. But coming back 2 weeks ago to put it on the box in the number 2 spot, you could see that fire back. And in conditions like this, yes, we're in Pennsylvania, but we're really close to Ohio. These are conditions very similar to what he runs at home, and I would not at all be surprised to see wild Wyatt Wilkin up front and getting wild in the mud.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. But hey, you know what? Speaking of which, we had a chance to catch up with Wyatt prior to today's race.
Last round, I was super pumped off that one. There's some podiums you walk away and you're like, yeah, that wasn't bad. I was kind of handed that one, but no, that last one, I rode good. I came from mid-pack, 7th, 8th, and then just passed everybody straight up. It was I had one Walker, he let me by, made it a little easier for me, but just felt good all day, and that translates into this race. Like I know that I rode well, put myself in a situation to be on a podium, and wish I'd been a little bit closer to Bryson, just to toe off him, see what I'm doing a little bit different, and but no, I'm ready to go. Like, last time I prayed for rain, I broke, so I didn't pray for rain this time. I just kind of let Mother Nature take its course.
I always love a good Wyatt Wilkin interview. We'll see today, Johnny. Are we going to get another chance to talk with him after the race? I got a feeling, I don't know, this just has a respect where respect is due. Bryson Neal's going to do his thing, but it feels like a day where Wyatt Wilkin goes out and performs as well.
Absolutely. You know, and in conditions like this, we know sometimes we see riders that aren't as accustomed to being on the podium week in and week out. Obviously, we had similar conditions already 2 races ago. Hunter Hart, HH, coming out on top. Can't not throw him in the mix. One of the only other race winners this season so far. You mentioned Walker. You can't forget about Josh Merritt, who's been putting in some really solid rides. Stephen Harrell, John Glada Jr. You go down the list, and really, honestly, anyone lining up in that XC1 class has a crack to put themselves on the podium today, or maybe even in the center of the box in that number 1 spot.
They're all capable, there's no doubt, and we're getting to that point where some guys are playing with a little bit of house money. They just want to go and mix things up and get in the conversation.
Mikey, with all that said, everything that we talked about, we know it's going to be wild conditions here today. So many guys in the mix. We're about to get underway with our racing action. We're going to let our man Mikey Waynes head down, do some 10-second calls, and we're going to bring you all the wet, wild, muddy racing action from this weekend's race here on Racer TV right after this.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that.
This reminds me of my bike.
The wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way?
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line on a gas tank.
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVNC.com. Get ready. And we want to say hello and welcome to everybody at home, watching and live on RacerTV.com. As you tune in, we are ready for our start, our XC1 Pro Rider introductions, and riding to the line in accordance to points, the number 1, a new dad out of Bidwell, Ohio, riding aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal. Up next, the number 2 out of Rogers, Ohio, on a WFR Kenda and Fly Racing back to Yamaha, Walker Fowler. Up next, the number 6 out of Newfield, New York, on an HHR Fly Racing and Quad Tech back to Yamaha, Hunter Hart. Up next, the number 4 out of Akron, Ohio, aboard the B&R Motorsports GBC and Merritt Racing back to Yamaha, Josh Merritt. Up next, the 712 out of Waxhaw, North Carolina, riding aboard the Pierce Performance Action Off-Road and Phoenix Racing Yamaha, John Glada Jr. Up next, the number 5 out of Elk Ridge, Maryland, riding aboard the B&R Motorsports Kenda and Fearless back to Yamaha, Stephen Harrell. And now the number 3 out of Hillsboro, Ohio, riding aboard the SBR, GBC, and Pierce Performance back to Yamaha, Wyatt Wilkins. Up next, the number 18 out of Acme, Pennsylvania, aboard the Action Off-Road Kenda and Custom Access back to Yamaha, Jay Shadron. Up next, the number 10 out of Sunbury, Pennsylvania, riding aboard the Action Off-Road Amsoil and CB Racing back to Yamaha, Chris Borich. The 703 out of Petersburg, Indiana, riding aboard the Action Off-Road Maxxis and Lone Star Racing back to Yamaha, Austin Abney. Up next, the 521 out of Waverly, West by God, Virginia, on the Ober Moose Racing and Parts Unlimited backed Honda, the Gator, Adam McGill.
the 246 out of Walker, West Virginia, on the Sturdy Vent Racing Maxxis and Moose Racing backed Yamaha, Brandon Owens. Up next, the 714 out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on the Bulletproof Doors, Kenda Tires, and Senge Graphics backed Yamaha, Ronnie Rush. Up next, the 171 out of Salisbury, North Carolina, riding aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, Grayson Eller. And last but certainly not least, the number 9 out of Casca, Pennsylvania, on a JMR, GBC, Elka, and Moose Racing backed Honda, the Cobra, Jared McClure. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro class here at the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC. And before we get going, just a reminder, all spectators must be behind the white stringer line. You guys look good. I'd say about 99.9% of you are money, baby. And now that our riders take their spot on row number 1, this is where we like to say, Mixmaster Murphy, please don't move the meat. Leave it right where it is. It is stationary down yonder way. It's been a muddy one. A lot of rain for those tuning in yesterday, coming into today. And Ricky Towry now lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we are ready to go. Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC Racing. What's up, Austin Woodruff? Good to see you, buddy. As Ricky Towry now steps back, he will look down at his watch, keep his eyes on the time, and there it is. The blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut him down, shut him down, shut him down. As we are just about ready to roll now, and I got to ask you, Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Oh, that's pretty good. But ladies and gentlemen, you are in the mecca of off-road racing. You got to get loud and you got to get proud. I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and we're off. Oh, let's see how this one turns. Oh, Robin is racing a pile up in turn number 1, and it's going to be the number 10 of Chris Borich turning back the clock. And how about that? A rough start for the 703. Wyatt Wilkin, Ronnie Rush, and John Glotta Jr. going to be the last one out of that one. They have got a long day ahead of them. Road number 2, 10 seconds. XC2 Pro-Am, B&R Motorsports Whole Shot Award up for grabs. Keaton Henderson, Dalton Keys, Andrew Bonovsky, Andre Williams, Braxton Gross, Nick Davidson, Kenny Schick, Alex Tiemann. And no doubt about that one, that is the 2-2-3 of Braxton Gross out of Ramona, California. Grabbing that whole shot and early lead right there as we turn our attention now to road number 3. 10 seconds. College A, 16-19, Talon Stout, Dylan Trigg, Trevor Meadows, Ryan Wilhelm, Caden Lambruno, Gavin Mann, Evan Osborne, Sawyer Bolin, Triple Exo, Brody Pullen, Aiden Jones, Jordan Bird, Noah DeCerci, Evan Ruckel, and Cole Likens as the 4-2-7. Man, like a rocket. Off and rolling there with a whole shot and early lead as we turn our attention now to the Junior A, 20+, 10 seconds. David Machisco, Connor Brandt, Ryan Hendershot, Josh Tenoble, Jeremy Ladon, Riley Salick, Mitch Murr, Paige Chrisman, Colton Kuchta, Trevor Furby, Jason Root, Briggs Lizelle, Brian Gerhardt, David Witt, Trace Furby, and the whole shot's going to go to the 0-3-7 of Connor Brandt. out of Rogers, Ohio, putting that B&R Motorsports GBC and fly racing machine to good use out in front. Vet A, 28 plus, 10 seconds. Tom Coons Jr., Henry Moore, Jason Como, Alan Blavos, Christopher Kirby, Simon Morin, Zach Bockwell, J.D. Higgins, Fred Marley, and Justin Willis. 6-2-3 on the whole shot. That is Christopher Kirby on the Yamaha getting it done. On the home state. How about that? Sun is shining. Let's go, baby. 10 seconds. Senior A, 40 plus. Dirk Desersi, Papa P, Jeff Pickens, Ben Dunlap, Howard Crawley, Ryan Folds, Sean Slattery, Zachary Phillips, Chris Conklin, and the Marlboro man, Todd Muscullo. Around the first turn we go. Chris Conklin. Yes, I believe it is. That's a 719 of Chris Conklin out of Sisterville, West Virginia. That Pierce Performance and Get It Performance back ride. 10 seconds. Junior B, 19 plus. Hunter Griffith, Colton Dooley, Evan Young, Austin Newsom, Ian Burns, Evan Lowmiller, Joey Stewart, Adam Safel, Blake Moore, and Rayton Richards. Whole shot, maybe the 1-2-2, I believe Hunter Griffith out of Crooksville, Ohio on that Pierce Performance back ride. Grabbing that whole shot and early lead. 10 seconds. College B, 16-18. Andrew Adams, Max Rodriguez, Austin Kiger, J.N. Mittner, Barrett Childers, Connor Humphreys, Evan Bridgewater, Caden Meckley, Trent Marino. Oh, a little sideways action right there. On the outside, this is going to be close. I think that was the 7-7-1 of Quentin Gauker out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. There's a small tangle up in the first turn. One rider trying to get that machine fired back up. And rolling finally does. And Ricky says, here we go. 10 seconds. Senior B, 40 plus. Jason Noble, Brian Hatfield, Kenny Rich Jr., Matthew Carmichael, Nicholas Ringer, Robert Perry, Forrest Cross, Neil Shepard, and Matthew Hartwell. .709 and 719 on the machine. That might be Neil Shepard. I think that was the 701. Here we go. Vet B, 28 plus. 10 seconds. Tanner Dovisick, Zachary DeNoble, Joshua Jaime, Eric Murphy, Frederick Harder, Perry Nicholson, Brent Pennington, Joe Rutherford, Tyler Miller, Anthony Lucas, Cody Wolford, Amy Dunlap, and Cody Catano. 808 on the helmet. That's going to be Cody Wolford grabbing the whole shot and early lead. Hot track, hot track, hot track. Got one machine. We're trying to get fired up here, so do not cross. And finally off and rolling. Hot track coming into turn number 2, or turn number 1 and turn number 2. And that's going to wrap things up for us for the moment. We're going to take a short break, get in a word from our sponsors. Wild start for the XC1. How is it all going to play out? Chris Borich grabbing himself a whole shot. How about that? We'll be right back with more from the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC here on Racer TV right after this.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way?
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 50th Annual Progressive Insurance Grand National Cross Country Series, Round 8 of the 2025 series, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon. My name is Jackson Burrell. I'll be alongside Zach Heron and Johnny G to bring you today's action. Of course, Mikey Wayne's going to be with us here in just a few minutes. Zach, it is good to be here in PA, a muddy race here today.
It is good to be here in PA, but yeah, it's brutal conditions out here. Actually, I don't think it's as terrible as we thought it was going to be. It always blows our mind to see how much the course changes throughout the day, as many bikes and quads as we've had out there today. I think we're actually in for a good race, but I'm sure there's going to be some brutal spots. But let's show you how things got kicked off with our specialized start recap, because we know in conditions like this, on days like this, the start is absolutely crucial. It seems like it's a matter of extremes. When it's super dusty or super muddy, you know everybody is focused on the start. Now take a look at this XC1 replay. Bryson Neal going to be coming from the middle, and watch this. Has to put the foot down, almost flips over entirely there, Jackson. What a save for Bryson Neal, but how about it? The number 10 of Chris Boric going to grab the win. Looks like Shadron had a good start as well, and then I believe that was Brandon Owens that cut up underneath him, going sideways around turn 3 and actually overtook the lead, but we saw more carnage in turns 2 and 3 almost all the way through. As fast as you see Adam McGill getting bumped back to about the 8th or 9th place spot. We take a look now at your XC2 Pro-Am start, and once again it's a drag race, but coming from the far inside, the 223 of Braxton Gross gonna, execute that start to perfection, Jackson. That's exactly how you want to do it. Hug the inside, a little look back there, and Gross once again getting that crucial start in unfavorable weather. So that's going to be possibly bad news for the rest of the XC2 field. He has really been firing on all cylinders. As we flash here to our Yamaha Racing Live Drone, give you a little bit of race format now. The original track length, 11.8 miles. We heard from our trail boss, now roughly a 9 3/4 mile track. 2-hour race. And, man, one thing's for sure, Jackson, these conditions, they're going to be brutal. Johnny, I'm sure you've been talking to some of the riders and out the track as well. What are your thoughts on what the riders will face here today?
Well, it's kind of been a mixed bag coming into today. Obviously, we know we had a crazy amount of rain yesterday. Things were just wet. Everything was muddy. You guys got the opportunity to call those morning races, and it was kind of a mixed bag of reviews. Some people saying the track not as bad as they were expecting, and then just talking with some of the AM racers on the starting line, they were talking about how it was way worse than they were expecting. So it really honestly is we know the stuff that's out in the sun and the wind can get to it. You can already see it drying up. You can see some dry dirt there. But in the woods, it is wet, it is deep, it is off-camber, and it is slimy. Very, very challenging racing conditions today. And I think we're going to see a lot of position changes and just a ton of carnage. We heard all morning long the story of the races, folks. Bottlenecks. You guys were, talking to those riders on the podium, and it was just, I was in a bottleneck. This person was in a bottleneck. It was bottleneck central out there. Don't think we're going to have those big issues in our afternoon race, but it definitely is going to be very challenging conditions out there.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned, Johnny, it was a lot of off cameras, especially that section coming to the finish line. Riders may start on the inside line, and by the time they get to the outside of the corner, they've slid probably 3 to 4, if not more, to the side, and we saw a lot of riders coming together as well. I think we could see some bumping and banging, even if it's not necessarily expected.
Definitely expect some bumping and grinding out there. Track position, incredibly important in conditions like this, on days like this. If you're behind, you're getting roosted. It's impossible to keep the goggles on. You got to get around. You got to get to the front. You got to get that clear vision. It is so big on a day like today.
Taking a look now at our Yamaha track map. Like we said, a little bit of touching up due to the conditions that we're facing. So about 9 3/4 mile, but still going to have that FMF PowerPoint, VP Pro Row, all the sections that we know. We really see a lot of passes being made. And on days like today, Jackson, we know the pit stop's going to be just as crucial as the race itself.
Yeah, going to be very, very crucial today for these riders. We'll see who's going to have it figured out here today in the Mason-Dixon. And going to be interesting to see what the strategies are, what they want to do as far as the pressure washer goes. A lot of stuff going into those pit stops. And, Johnny, you mentioned it, drying up a little bit today. We finally see the sun shining. One thing worth noting, a high wind advisory today, so that should help it dry out just a bit. Maybe in some of those rough spots in the woods, we might can get some wind to it. Maybe.
Yeah, Jackson, I think what we're seeing here, obviously, our drone is showing us we've got a lot of open areas here. We got a lot of fields. We got a lot of trackside pitting area. So those areas are going to tack up and dry up. But, down in the woods, there's just so much moisture. I mean, I didn't get the final actual tally of what the Weather Service says we got, but I had heard 2 inches. I heard 3 inches. Keep in mind, folks, we were only supposed to get less than a ½ inch of rain yesterday. So we got at least a minimum, by most estimates, somewhere between 4 and 6 times the amount of rain expected. Really kind of saturating those woods. I love your optimism, Jackson, and I really hope that wind can funnel its way down in there like a little cyclone and dry it all out. But I do, from what I've seen and what I've heard, we talk about those off-cambers. Really the story for the morning race is exactly what we're seeing here, ruts. This track doesn't normally rut up very deep, but there was just so much rain, so much moisture. Even the off-cambers are getting ruts on them, so it's definitely going to be unique conditions today. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this here at this property.
Well, as we take a look at some of our riders a little further back in the pack and wait on our leaders, one of the big questions coming into this weekend was, would we see the number 1 of Bryson Neal line up? If you've been following along with Bryson Neal and us here at GNCC, Bryson's wife Brooke there getting pregnant, and Bryson was like the due date. I don't know, it's going to be close, and luckily they did have a healthy baby girl earlier yesterday, I believe. And he got here earlier today. So Bryson taking that last little bit, looking at the track. I know I didn't even think he was going to catch up with Mikey in that pre-race sport. Figured he'd be out biking the track, but glad to have him out here, and that was going to be, we kind of talked about maybe the only chance of everybody to make up that huge sum of points. Now they're going to have to take it from Bryson straight up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had an opportunity to speak with him myself this morning. Congratulated him, on newfound fatherhood, and he had said, man, I'm so glad that this all worked out. But the reality of it is, it's he's here, he's racing, and that's what he's focused on right at the moment. Although I'm sure he's anxious to get home.
Well, we were able to catch up and talk to the new dad himself, Bryson Neal.
Oh man, it's just been a whirlwind. We've had a little baby girl, Marley, and Mama and the little girl, she's healthy. So both are just at home waiting on me to get through this race and hopefully have a good day and just speed home and get right back to them. But had a good, safe delivery, and everything's good. Got a lot of family and friends around, and we're just proud. I know what it's like to be a proud parent now. It was supposed to happen on Monday. She's supposed to be induced on Monday, so in my head I was like, well, I got time. We're going to go here and race this weekend, and it's going to be Monday. And she woke me up Wednesday night at 10, and she's like, we got to go. And I was like, Okay, it's on. Let's roll. And if it would have happened, say, last night, there's a good chance I probably wouldn't be here today. So thankfully, got God's blessing, and she came whenever she wanted. She wanted to come a little bit early, and it's working out for all of us. And we get to come here and see our GNCC family and still go race.
So there it is. The stars align for Bryson Neal, and he's out here racing with us today. A big congratulations to Bryson. Glad to have him out here as we still wait at that mile 5 marker. We're going to be seeing our leaders here before we know it.
Yeah, that's a lot going on in a span of a couple days, obviously, and to see him here. And the thing is, at this point, the way Bryson Neal is riding and kind of where his mindset's at, we saw on the start, got a good jump, and then kind of got knocked around, was towards the back of the pack going to the woods. But we've seen what this man is capable of here the last 3 seasons, but especially here in 2025. I'm not going to be at all surprised. There we see Hunter Hart on screen, looking like that may be our leader, and just behind him is G46 of Brandon Owens. And so we see Jared McClure there as well. Didn't honestly catch who that other rider was. There is Bryson Neal. So look at that. Already up inside the top 5 just behind him. The rider that grabbed our whole shot, that is Chris Borge. Then it is Josh Merritt and Wyatt Wilkin. Here comes Adam McGill, the Gator. And then it is, looked like Grayson Eller, Austin Abney, John Glauda Jr. And there is Stephen Harrell. The rider in front of him is the 714 of Ronnie Rush. So that's pretty much the entirety of the XC1 class. And we should now be watching and waiting for our XC2 riders to work their way through. We know it was the 223 Braxton Gross, who I think was the rider we just saw. He's already to the back of the XC1 class. Guys, that's going to put him in the overall lead on corrected time. That was not a minute's time or even close to it. We see this on Sundays all the time, but Braxton Gross has made up the gap physically. It looks like on screen to the back of the XC1 class. And if he can keep that pace up, there's a 259 at Kenny Schick. There is Alex Elioff, the husband of our 2-time and defending WXC champion Jessica Elioff, running up there solidly inside the top 5 or 6 in that XC2 Pro-Am class.
So how about that? Braxton Gross right to the rear of the XC1 pack, and he's really been nailing these starts in some of the softer conditions. He's a West Coast rider. Talked about learning the GNCC ways and living with some families, training during the week, and man, he really seems to have figured things out and come to life here in 2025.
Yeah, it's cool when you see these guys just kind of get things figured out. There's so many aspects that go into being successful here on the racetrack. It's on a day like today, you have to have all the pieces in place to have all the confidence, not only in your riding, but your machine, your crew. Jackson, you talked about, we're going to see a lot of pit stretching today. We're going to see riders getting out the pressure washers and the fire hydrants that we don't normally see, cleaning out radiators, really cleaning out grips. A lot of riders running the gauntlets or the elephant ears. Hunter Hart always runs those elephant ears, likes those. There we see those there. Those are gauntlets, so that keeps a little bit of mud. Bigger deal on Saturday for the ATVs than it is on Sunday for the dirt bikes. Reason for that, for those at home that have never experienced it, on an ATV you actually roost yourself. Your front tires are constantly throwing water and debris up, and on a day like today, it's just a constant stream of slurry and muck all over your hands, all up in your goggles, and it just makes it so hard to see, so hard to hang on. So a lot of extra prep goes into it, and it really, to me, makes mud races almost like a chess match. It's not just about going out there and going fast, which obviously is important, but it really comes down to how prepared are you and how calm can you stay in inclement conditions.
Speaking of being prepared, our WXC class up on the podium talking a lot about the wheel sizes here today. So I'm sure that's going to come into play for these riders as well.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I heard a mixed bag from the riders coming off the morning. We talked about, kind of different ideas on exactly what the conditions were. I heard some say, man, I ran small tires, I wish I had bigs. Had some others say, hey, I had big tires, small tires would have been the move. So it could be a grass is always greener on the other side of the fence thing. If you don't get the results you want, you're wishing you would have made another choice. But on screen, looks like we see a battle for lead. Hunter Hart still out front, leading the way, and actually now starting to stretch it out just a little bit over Brandon Owens, the 246. A rider we've seen showing some flashes of brilliance here in 2025 and solidly up in that number 2 spot. But got to wonder, it's only a matter of time maybe till we see Brandon Owens on the podium here soon.
Yeah, certainly seems like one is in the works without a doubt. But I'm impressed with Hunter Hart. He had that win just 2 rounds ago. We were a little disappointed with the 6 that he got at our last round, and I'm sure he was as well. So to see him respond like this, be curious to see what he's able to do And as far as passing opportunity goes, Johnny, when conditions like this, we talk a lot about the race line getting worked in, conditions starting to actually get favorable. But we also know go a little to the left, a little to the right, all of a sudden you're in impassable territory. How much passing opportunities do you think the riders will have out here today?
I think we're going to see a lot of shuffling amongst the pack, but it won't necessarily be from passing opportunities. I think especially as they start to get into lappers, here early on, I think we'll see some shuffling because these guys, although they did bike the track, they've not seen it in its current condition. So the lines are going to look a little different. Lines that were absolutely bang on money, that's the line I want on Friday, suddenly today, that's not the line. So we're going to see that come into play. But I think as the race wears on, it's going to really be more lappers, some of those smaller bottlenecks that we talked about, and how that almost looked to be Brandon Owens had dropped back.
Yeah.
Maybe he saw that wrong. Could have been another rider. Don't want to get too alarmed just yet. And now here comes Steve Carell. There's John Jr., Rush, and it looks like that may have been... Oh, there's Ronnie Rush there. It almost looks to me like Braxton Gross potentially has already gotten around Ronnie Rush and a few of the other XC1 riders. We'll see when they check in here in just a matter of time. We'll see the matter of a few minutes. We'll see the live scoring update, but it is still Hunter Haupt out front, and that does not appear to be Brandon Owens in the number 2 spot anymore.
Yeah, I definitely think Owens was wearing some of that like purple moose gear, and I thought
he was at the back of the pack there. So just as we're bragging him up, he drops a number of positions. Something happening in that section of racetrack. It is definitely the number 6 of Hunter Haupt out front, and that could be Walker Fowler. No, that's Jay Shadron in the number 2 spot. Looks like possibly Jared McClure up to the number 3 spot there. So Jay Shadron up to the number 2 spot, a rider we've seen with some impressive rides here recently. Not able to parlay it into a podium finish just yet, but I mean, he's been so close. He's been in the mix right down late into some of these races, leading a lot of our last race just a few weeks ago there, and now he's up in the number 2 spot just behind Hunter Haupt on that number 6 machine, and there is Jay Shadron. And I believe that is McClure in the number 3 spot.
Shadron's been money off the start recently, too, consistently. Maybe not grabbing the whole shot, but inside that top 3, top 4. And he's been able to maintain that pace. And like I said, even getting up there and leading a little bit as well. But I think he was in like the 2nd or 3rd place spot off the start here today.
Yep, and able to parlay that into some good moves early on, capitalizing on what we can assume was probably a mistake on behalf of Brandon Owens, because he was up there running solid, and now he is near the back of the pack in that XC1 class in the matter of just literally less than a quarter mile or so. Yep, it is the number 9 of Jared McClure there. And then it looks like Josh Merritt making some moves. Chris Borge in there as well, able to kind of hang on and run the pace right now, running up inside the top 5. Back to the leaders. Hunter Haupt starting to stretch it out a little bit over Jay Shadron. Jared McClure looking a little racy back there, looking like he wants to take a swing at Jay Shadron, see if he can't get around, and maybe thinks he has the pace to go after Hunter Haupt. Those two do battle each other on the off weekends in that Niowa, New York series, and McClure having a heartbreaker last weekend, running up front, hitting something, breaking a foot peg off, so he's looking for a little redemption here today.
Man, the drone just doesn't do justice how off camera that corner is. You can see them trying to lean back on those quads, pushing hard, and see even the back end start to step out on a couple of these rides.
Yeah, when it's off camber, especially, that's a section of track that was not run by any of the previous races. You know, it can look like there's so much grip. The minute you go in there, that outside tire just doesn't stick. Next thing you know, you're kind of slideways, as our man Zach Herron likes to say, and you're doing all you can do to just keep it on the track so you don't find yourself, you know, wrapped up in those trees and losing time.
Yeah, certainly seeing lots of slideways out here this weekend, but impressive enough. I mean, sure enough, we're seeing some light colored dirt, some dry stuff, and wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of dust by the end of this race.
That section of racetrack right there, 100%, we will see dust by the end of this race, and quite a bit of it by tomorrow. Down in the woods, lurking, a little more moisture.
Right.
Now look at this, Jay Shadron picking up the pace, able to march back away from Jared McClure and start to reel in Hunter Haupt, who is starting to look like he had maybe found a little something extra, was opening up a gap, but now Jay Shadron putting his foot down and saying, not today, HH, I'm going to hang on your grab bar because I want to stay at the front, and right now, Hunter Haupt has got the pace.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see the confidence come back from Jay Shadron as well. He knows what he's capable of doing, and it seems like every time he gets in these opportunities, he's able to make it last a little bit longer and a little bit longer. Don't think a podium's out of contention.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's been so close, so many races so far here in 2025. It really just seems to come down. The final lap, it seems like these guys just have a little more, but Jay Shadron has just been going home and working harder and harder, and today could possibly be the day that we see him put all that hard work up on a position of our GNCC podium.
Here we go. So Hart has checked in with 1 lap complete. And Hunter going to have a 4.8 second gap back to Jay Shadron. Then we see only 1.6 seconds back to Jared McClure, Josh Merritt, and Wyatt Wilkin, your top 5 when they checked in.
I'll tell you what, the riders on the move, I think, right now are Josh Merritt and Wyatt Wilkin. And just behind them, Bryson Neal. Can never count that guy out. He knows a thing or two about winning. But Merritt and Wilkin were both quite a bit further back in our early camera shots. They've gotten around Chris Borge. They've gotten around a couple other riders as well. Walker Fowler back there just behind Bryson Neal. So a lot of interesting battles going on out on the track right now. You've got Hunter Hart trying to get away, but everybody behind him, it seems, has their own reason for wanting to get up in the mix there, put themselves not only in a podium position, but in a position to battle for lead.
So now we wait for our XC2 class to check in to see exactly where they're going to be on the overall, and there it is. Braxton Gross going to check in the 8th place spot on our overall elapsed time.
Yeah, that's a big change from what we saw just a couple miles ago there. I think the front runners really picked up the pace. Braxton, possibly struggling a little bit to get by some of the XC1 riders as that pack starts to thin itself out. Because in that previous camera shot, he was so close. But those guys, maybe they got the memo, picked up the pace and said, hey, we don't want to be like those XC1 guys on Sunday, getting pushed around by the kids in the XC2 class. They put the wood to it, were able to pull away, and that drops Braxton Gross back to the number 8 spot, and Alex Tiemann on the charge, already up to the number 2 spot in that XC2 class, sitting there in that 10th place spot overall. Brandon Owens, 11th overall, putting him 9th in the XC1 class, again dropping 7 spots, 8 spots actually, somewhere in just a very short section of racetrack. So an unfortunate turn of events, but very much still in the mix and could work his way forward as the day goes on.
Well, like we said, some of these simple mistakes can be extremely costly in conditions like this, so hard to say what happened to Owens, but going to try to work his way back into the top 10 overall as we check back in here at the 2-mile mark. The riders, you can see fighting for traction. You see them rocking back and forth in some of these sections.
Yeah, that's just those ruts. The ATV will get high-centered there. The skid plate starts to drag, and they'll do everything they can to try to wiggle that machine side to side to get the tires back on the ground to keep the bike to move forward.
So there they go, headed back off into the woods is our XC1 class. Like we were saying, for our XC2 class, it's Gross, Tiemann, and Wolf, your top 3, and then it's going to be Dalton Keys and Alex Elioff back there in the 4th and 5th place spots.
Tiemann's starting to get those starts figured out. We talked about that the last time, how big of a sore that was for him, and he had a big smile when we were talking about it on the podium. He's like, I think I've got it down now, and once again he finds himself inside the top 3 off the start.
Well, it's interesting. He wasn't in the top 3 off the start. Lap 1, he's in that number 2 spot, but I saw him. He was in the back on that start, not in the back, but 3/4 of the way back, and he was kind of beating and banging off some other riders, so it's impressive to see him all the way up here to the number 2 spot already, and not that far behind Braxton Gross.
Oh, look at this.
That was Alex Elioff right there. Just goes to show you how challenging some of these, and normally we do not see these exposed roots here at the Mason-Dixon. The ground is normally hard enough. The roots kind of stay under the surface, but it's just so soft. It's chewing that dirt up, pushing it out of the way, getting down to those gnarly tree roots, and just really, really hard, slick conditions to race on.
Wow, yeah, tons of roots right there, and our riders, oh, look at this.
Bam. Yeah,
wow.
This is, and you can see there's not really any alternate lines here. So that's going to continue to get more and more difficult as the race goes on. Let's see. Oof. Yeah, very challenging. That was Tanner Walker coming by there, another one of our XC2 riders. And yeah, there's I know where that section of racetrack is. There's not really any options. I mean, if you get down, you can see the pink streamers to the left of camera, right of track. So that means you cannot go on the other side of that white string. And just on the lower side of there's a ravine. So if this section gets that chewed up, they're really not going to have any choice but to just kind of manhandle the machine through there, get off, lift, do what they need to do, and work their way through that section of racetrack.
Yeah, we talk about some of the track markings that you'll see out on course. So, Johnny, you're talking about these pink streamers right here.
Wait, when did we get this
Yes,
feature?
so
I
take a
did
look
not
at this.
know we had this
OPAG asking you shall receive. I said we need to start being able to circle some stuff. Eagle Eye Johnny's going to be able to point some lines
I didn't
out.
even know we had this. This is awesome.
I know. I wanted to get a live reaction from Johnny G.
Excuse me, Mr. Bucks and whatever your hoodie says. Get out of our camera
In our shot there. We're not circling.
We're drawing. We want to circle things.
But those markers, where were you talking about, where the riders cannot move underneath them or pass around them?
Absolutely. So you got white string, and then they mark the white string so the riders don't hit it with pink ribbon, just because it's more visible for most people that aren't colorblind like me. Man, look at the battle on this uphill. It looked like Jared McClure taking that outside line, and a couple of the Yamaha boys behind him looked like it was possibly Wyatt Wilkin and Josh Merritt trying to make the pass. So that is really, really tightening up. There comes the Gator. Adam McGill here through at the 3-mile marker.
So today could be a day where we see more of those classic Merritt and Wilkin battles. Those two are going to be going at it.
We saw them all last season, just glued to each other. And throughout many parts of many races earlier in this season, it seems like they just find each other, they train together, they ride together, and then when it's race time, they seem to hook up and really seem to push each other. There is your XC2 leader, Braxton Gross, going by on camera there. Looks like Alex Tiemann. Looked like that may have actually been Jeremiah Wolf and Dalton Keys as well. So it looks like the battle really heating up there in that XC2 class. About 4 riders within maybe 10 seconds or less of each other. So that'll be an exciting one to watch throughout the day today.
The battles continue here at mile 2 as things, just like you said, Johnny, going to get worse and worse. At least most of these riders approaching with care. If they were really charging in this, they'd probably get tossed right over the front of these quads. Let's see here. Ooh, kind of like that a little bit.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. You can see they're trying to stay high there, but it just keeps pushing them down to the berm. The front wheel drops in, hits that root, stalls out the momentum, and then obviously the weight of the machine coming downhill, it just kind of pushes them up over into that rut. I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see a bottleneck develop right about now, because now his back end is pushed over, and he's like, hey, what do I do? Hey, I'll tell you what you do. Get off. Help. Back underway there. Some spectators realizing that is a challenging section of track. They're going to step in and try to help these riders get through there. Tell them to stay high on the off camber, not get down into that rut. That's what really stalls out the momentum and makes it more challenging.
Yeah, you can see even in this camera shot right here, kind of that shiny, hard packed at the bottom of these ruts as well. It's digging out, but it's this hard. It's packed down. It's like a slick mud, and it's packing into the tires as well, Jackson. Some of those riders, as they were pulling off of that AM race, they're spinning all over the place. They've just got no traction. Everything is packed full of mud.
Yeah, but even just getting up on the podium, that's what we were having to do, get those wheels loosened up, get that mud off of those wheels. But yeah, back there at the mile 2 mark, once those mud fleas see, that is definitely going to be where they'll be at, and we'll get that taken care of. The mud fleas here at GNCC, one of the more helpful things that we have.
They look for the challenging sections, and they know that's where they're needed. So big shout out to all of them as we hang out here at the 5-mile mark.
Talking about the mud fleas, our next round coming up in just 3 weeks, Snowshoe. That is like the mecca for the mud fleas, Howard's Hole. I know you guys have had the opportunity to go down there and experience it, and it is like nowhere else, not only in GNCC racing, not only in motorsports, but it is truly like nowhere else on earth. If you're at home and you've never made it to a GNCC, put that one on your calendar, and you might get to see this guy right here, Hunter Hart, work his way through Howard's Hole with Jay Shadron in hot pursuit, and they are now starting to open it up just a little bit over Jared McClure, Wyatt Wilkin, Josh Merritt, and Walker Fowler. So it actually looks like Fowler has gotten around Neal, unless I miss. There's Chris Borich. Oh, so it was actually Merritt that dropped back. So it was Bryson Neal up there ahead, and he has actually now gotten to the rear wheels of Wyatt Wilkin.
So Merritt now drops back just in front of Brandon Owens. Here comes Adam McGill, who let us know he was very excited for Snowshoe.
He loves that place.
That place loves him.
John Glauda Jr. Then it is Stephen Harrell. Surely not the ride he was looking for so far here today. Just behind him is the 703 of Austin Avenue. Grayson Eller, possibly. There is Braxton Gross, Ronnie Rush, and there is Alex Tiemann. So he is right back to the rear wheels just about of Braxton Gross. He can see him there in front of him, and that is the battle for the lead in your XC2 Pro-Am class.
Yeah, Tiemann doing a great job of keeping Gross in sight.
Jeremiah Wolf, third place there. and XC2. Pretty cool to get some camera shots of these guys. They're out there battling. Obviously, when we have the camera shots, we'd like to bring you that action. And I believe that is the 1-2-3 of Dalton Keys there, your fourth-place rider in that XC2 class. Charging ahead, trying to get to the rear wheels of Jeremiah Wolf, Jerry, as his friends call him. His father, Brian Wolf, a multi-time GNCC overall winner, and was actually, for a period of time, the king of snowshoe. Back when snowshoe used to have its own big purse, it was $10,000 to win that race. Brian Wolf won it not once, but twice.
Man, so that was the king of snowshoe. We're going to find out who is going to be the king of the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon here shortly. But first, we're going to send things to a break, get a quick word from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll see if Hunter Hart can bring it in for another win on the season, or whether or not the new dad, Bryson Neal, can put it to the rest of the field. Walker Fowler, Wyatt Wilkin working their way through as well. And like I said, I'm not counting Jay Shadron out either. It's going to be fun to watch. Don't forget about that XC2 battle as well. Track getting challenging, and it's only going to get worse from here. We'll be back just after this here on RacerTV.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
It's going to be 90 minutes of non-stop fun.
Well, we got High Point in the dirt, baby. We're gonna get after it.
How was the day in the dirt, all right?
Red Bull Day in the Dirt out east is returning to High Point August 29th through the 31st. That's Labor Day weekend at High Point. You know what that means? It means fun. It means dirt bikes. It means hanging out bench racing with your pals. So come join us. Red Bull Day in the Dirt. We'll see you there.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC here from Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, on board with OPAG, and look at this, the fender, a new color. We got him on the Blue Crew. Johnny G hooking up our boy OPAG.
Blue Crew, baby. I don't know what dirt bike he owns, but it blew up, as they tend to do. We won't mention any names or brands, but you can figure out what color the fender normally is. So he asked if he was able to go ahead and borrow the Yamaha. You can actually see my to-do list for in case I decide to race on Sunday. He left that on there. So I'm going to need fuel and a transponder to put on there. But this is the Yamaha YZ250FX here on the Yamaha Racing Track Preview. You can see the conditions absolutely primo yesterday when he went out there. Today, maybe not quite so much, but this still gives you the lay of land, lets you see kind of like what the woods look like and what these riders are facing in a perfect world. And then we had 87 inches of rain. We all got out the jet skis. There was an ark. We were loading animals onto it just in case. And no, seriously though, guys, yesterday, crazy rain. If you're not here, if you're watching from home, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, forecasted roughly 1/2 of an inch, quarter to 1/2, depending on which weather app you were watching. It started raining and I didn't have a rain gauge, but I think they top out at 10 inches. It might have overfilled and run over the edges. It just never stopped raining. I've never seen standing water on flat ground anywhere in the world, any time in my life, like I saw yesterday. It was crazy.
Yeah, flash flood warnings were going off on everybody's cell phone. It really came down, and then we got what you see on screen afterwards, and it looked a lot worse this morning. They knocked a lot of mud off of it here today. That's something me and Zach talked about earlier. Going to be dry down on the ruts, but if these riders get off to some of the sides of some of these tracks, it's going to be about knee-deep mud for these riders to get in.
Well, in Jackson, we got to give a shout-out to not only our micro and youth racers, but our micro and youth parents. Just the hill coming up to the finish line, there was a team of about 20 parents that had basically a human rope where they were just passing quads as they went up the hill, and it was impressive to see everybody come together. I think that's one of the cool things about GNCC is, they're going to help not just their kid, but everybody there that needs help.
Yeah, there's a community here. We talk about the mud fleas. A lot of times the mud fleas are, spectators that have come in, used to race GNCC, just love GNCC in many cases, but especially in those micro and youth races. So many of the parents, the crews, the family members, the brothers, the sisters, the uncles, they're out there, and they're making sure, like you said, not just their own rider gets through, they're actually helping everyone get through, especially in conditions like today. It was just so challenging this morning, and really cool to see. While they want their kid to win, they want everybody to have a fair shot, and that's what makes GNCC racing so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. These conditions sometimes give us some pop-up winners. Somebody not quite as surprised to maybe see get another win is your leader. There he went on screen, Hunter Hart.
Pressure from Jay Shedrin.
And that was Bryson Neal, I think, just behind him in the third place spot now.
Yeah, there you go. So now look at this. Brandon Owens has made up some ground, made some moves, and after dropping back, he is back near to the rear of that lead group. He's made a couple passes, made up quite a bit of time. Things starting to get strung out now. Back to Adam McGill, and just behind him, I believe that is Chris Borch on the number 10 rider that grabbed our early hole shot. Starting to slip back a little bit, but we know he's very capable in these muddy conditions. Then it's the 712 of John Glauda Jr. Looks like Stephen Harrell. That may have been Walker Fowler, who had dropped back quite a bit there, lost a number of positions, and then Austin Abney, just the last rider through that shot.
Abney getting a little air there, and you see some of these ruts landing in them too. They'll kind of jar you back and forth.
There is your XC2 leader on screen. Braxton Gross just behind the 171 of Grayson Eller, and then just behind him, the 311. There is Alex Tiemann right back there lurking, wanting his shot at trying to get around Braxton Gross to get to the lead. But this has kind of been the battle in the XC2 class so far this year. Those two have been taking the lion's share of the wins and really kind of having it out there when the races get rolling. They seem to find each other. They get those battles in, and a lot of times they go right down to the finish line between the two of them. There's the 341 of Jeremiah Wolf. They're in the number 3 spot. Oh, man, big splash there dropping into that water. Got to watch. That'll ruin the goggles real quick. And then the 123 of Dalton Keys, again, 4th place in that XC2 Pro-Am class as they run here in lap number 2.
Looks like Keys might have closed that gap up just a bit there.
Yeah, he definitely looked like he had made up some time, and he looks like he's riding very well. Similar conditions to what a lot of the IXCR races in Indiana. They're always muddy. It can be 85 degrees and sunny if you go to an IXCR race, a lot like kind of GNCC in 2025. It's probably going to rain. They're going to have creeks. So Austin Abney and Dalton Keys very familiar with these conditions. And then the 5th place ride is the 317 of Alex Elioff, putting in a good, solid ride here today in the number 5 spot and solidly inside the top 20 overall. Leader on screen, Hunter Hart leading the way.
Checking into the FMF PowerPoint, it is Hunter Hart. Just behind him, that was still Shadron. And then Neal just behind it. You see kind of slot car through that section.
Yeah, the ruts are very challenging. And there's the rider to watch, I think, right now. The 246 of Owens had dropped a good bit back, but he's made 3, 4, 5 passes now. And he has absolutely made up a bunch of time on our leaders. So he is going to be one to continue to watch through the rest of this lap and as the race continues on.
And guys, look how long that rut is after the bottom of this hill.
I'm going to be curious to see if Walker Fowler has, in fact, dropped way back. So there's Borich, there's Glauda, and that is Fowler. So he's lost about 4 or 5 spots. Then it's the 703 of Abney coming through. So a pretty big setback there in a pretty short section of racetrack for Walker Fowler. Back to leaders on screen. Hunter Hart leading. 2nd place there on screen is still Jay Shadron, and then it does appear to be the number 1 of Bryson Neal up into the number 3 spot, so he is charging and trying to make moves, and he's got a run right now on Shadron. Don't know that he's going to make the pass, but he is definitely making up time and starting to put some heavy pressure on Jay Shadron right now.
Here we go in one of the more wide open sections. Shadron, though, responding coming out of that corner. Be curious to watch the different line choices here from our Yamaha Racing live drone. Back into the woods they go. And Neal definitely, I would say, overall closed up about a bike length or 2 in that entire field section.
Yep, just behind them, it is still quite a battle between a number of riders. We know Wyatt Wilkin back there, Josh Merritt back there, Jared McClure in the mix there, and that group is starting to lose time to the front 3. I believe this is Bryson Neal pushing the pace, and the riders in front of him responding.
Watching, believe that might be Shadron and Neal right there.
And that's Hunter in front, and still Shadron in the number 2 spot. No, Bryson Neal got around. I saw on the outside there, it looked like an alternate line. I thought Shadron was able to hold him off, but Bryson Neal getting a heck of a charge through there, making the pass. There is McClure.
And a decent little gap opening up right there.
Yep, and there is Adam McGill coming.
So McGill through. Little slideways action there.
Yeah. Catching a little bit of air in a few of these spots as well.
Stephen Harrell coming by just behind Walker Fowler.
Back into our open sections, and Neal, this is our leaders on screen. Neal has already started to close up to the back of Hunter Hart. Be curious to see how much of a fight.
I just noticed there in that last camera shot, Wyatt Wilkin has put on a little bit of charge, and now he is almost to the rear wheels of Jay Shadron, trying to wrestle away that number 3 spot.
Yeah, there he is, just exiting the wood line right there in the 4th place spot. So Wilkin,
what we saw as a 3-rider battle for the lead, has now just suddenly become 4.
So there we go into the woods. Man, these are some of the most train track-esque ruts that I've saw in my experience here at GNCC.
Yeah, that's just a product of how much rain we got, softening up the soil so much that the minute they put pressure on it, it just starts to dig and gets deeper and deeper.
Well, and it has been, I believe, raining periodically throughout the week up here as well, so the soil already saturated even coming into the weekend.
And that's a good point, Zach, because a lot of these races, it's very dry before the rain hits. It was already some standing water in some of the places. As we continue to watch our pros here on screen.
Bryson Neal with the goggles off, anticipating coming in for a stop here in just one more corner. And now look at this, 4 riders nose to tail. Are they all going to stop this lap? It looks like it. Hunter Hart definitely coming in. Bryson Neal already into the pits. There goes Jay Shadron into the pits, and Wyatt Wilkin with the goggles off as well. So all 4 of these riders are going to take a stop. There is Jared McClure. We almost see a collision between Bryson Neal and Josh Merritt, as one entering, one exiting. Hunter Hart loses the lead. Bryson Neal to the front, and Wyatt Wilkin, or no, sorry, that wasn't Hart. That was, for a minute there, that was Jay Shadron. So he did lose a spot to Wyatt Wilkin.
Yeah, Hunter Hart did make it through. He got a splash of gas, he got some goggles, and he was able to get out of there clean.
Yep, and there is Neal in the number 2 spot. Shadron in 3rd. It looked like Wilkin got around him, but there, Wilkin back behind Jay Shadron there. So still the same running order when they left as they came in. And now look at this. It's like you need an air traffic controller. You got Adam McGill in the pits. You got John Glaude Jr. in the pits. You've got Grayson Eller in the pits. Stephen Harrell in the pits.
So Glaude getting those elephant ears yanked off there.
Little extra time, was obviously not liking that handguard setup, deciding that he wants those off there. They made some quick adjustments and got him on his way.
Grayson Eller in and out now as well.
Ronnie Rush, their steam, and looked like they rinsed out his radiator. He's doing a lot of looking down there. Not sure what he's looking at, but he is off and in pursuit of Grayson Eller.
So there we go. Those are the pit stops we've been talking about. And they're over and out now.
It's amazing when they start to pick up speed, things stretch out so quickly. Wyatt Wilkin was right there on Jay Shadron's rear wheels, and now he is giving up time, and the top 3 are starting to pull away just a few bike lengths. Bryson Neal looking good, really starting to stretch his legs, get ever so close to Hunter Hart, and obviously the day after baby hangover not affecting him at all. Asked him if he got to sleep last night, and all he did was just kind of smile and say, man, I'm not really worried about that right now. So he never really answered the question if he got a good night's sleep, but he did say, I really didn't want to load up and leave this morning, but I knew it's what I need to do, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, Bryson, always one of the guys excited to be at the race, happy to see everybody, and he told Mikey earlier, he said, you know what, I don't wish I was here today. Honestly, I wish I was home with my daughter, so he's going to run this race as fast as he possibly can. The shortest interview we'll probably ever get out of him. He's ready to go home and be with wife and baby.
Yep, understandable. Obviously, a life-altering experience for him becoming a father yesterday and today in pursuit of adding another one to the win tally for himself here in GNCC Racing. He is really amassing quite a portfolio of race wins, especially here in 2025. Round number 8, and he has already gotten 5 wins through the first 7 rounds.
A great season for him so far, as now he tries to track down Hunter Hart. Hunter Hart, an up and down season for him so far. Started the year off with a 4th place. He was able to get a win there at round number 6, but a 6th place at round number 7. A 9th place there at round number 5, really hurting his points. But today could be where things change, get another win under his belt, and continue to chip away there.
Guys, I don't know if we have a mistake in our live timing and scoring, because I didn't see it on screen, but we're showing that Wyatt Wilkin has made the pass around Jay Shadron. Definitely in our last camera shot before the finish line. Yes. It is. Wilkin has gotten around, so he made the pass on Jay Shadron. Jay Shadron now back to the number 4 spot, but still well in sight of the lead trio ahead of him. Hunter Hart trying to outrun our multi-time and defending champion Bryson Neal, with Wyatt Wilkin giving chase, trying to get himself into the mix, see if he can make this a 3 or possibly 4-rider battle with Jay Shadron over the lead. And then Jared McClure and Josh Merritt checking in the number 5 and 6 spots. Walker Fowler still had not checked in. Oh, it refreshes now. Brandon Owens in the number 7 spot. Alex Tiemann takes over the lead in the XC2 class, up to 8th overall. Just 5 seconds behind him, Braxton Gross in the number 9 spot. Then it's McGill, Borich, Harrell, Glauda, and Fowler all the way back in that number 14 spot overall, putting him 12th in the XC1 class. A rough lap of racing for him. Just behind him, it is Austin Abney and Grayson Eller. Then Ronnie Rush in the 17th place overall position, waiting on the rest of our XC2 riders to check in.
Getting to see our pros here in this mile, too, and not looking much different than any other rider. Everybody dealing with the same set of problems here in this section.
Yeah, so there is Merritt just behind Jared McClure, and then what looks to be Brandon Owens there, sitting in that number 7 spot.
So here we go, back to our top 2.
I think that was a really important pass for Wilkin to make. He saw Hart and Neal starting to get away. I think we know Wyatt capable of running that speed, but it's nice to have that visual goal right in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And he knows that Bryson Neal obviously has been the man to beat here in 2025. Probably started to see, like you said, Hunter Hart pushing the pace, Bryson Neal getting away. Jay Shadron, no slouch, has been running the pace these first 2 laps without question, but he saw an opportunity, went for it, and it just paid off, and now they're starting to gap out on Shadron just a little bit as he sits in the number 4 spot, the top 3, starting to get away just a tiny little bit. Looked like that may have been the battle for the XC2 lead that just came through there. I think that was Braxton Gross and Alex Tiemann. Uh-oh, something happening here. We got folks running. Must have been
gonna get our drone on the job here, see if we can see what our mud fleas were.
Yeah, somebody was excited. Must have been a lot of revs. Maybe we got a bottleneck developing. Leader on screen, there is Hunter Hart. Looks like it is still Bryson Neal, but look at this, Wyatt Wilkin on the charge. And Jay Shadron still hanging tough. He has now gotten a 2nd win, and it looks like he's starting to close up a little bit on Wyatt Wilkin. Maybe wanting to get himself back in the mix, and not only for a podium, but saying, hey guys, I just want to jump straight to the middle of the box, get myself a win today.
Yeah, there's one way to get back on the podium. That would certainly make the biggest statement, as all of these riders starting to get away from the rest of the field. weaving their way in and out right here is Hunter Hart doing a great job here at the moment. And just as we start to see Neal creep forward, Hart's responding. He's not just getting caught by the number one. He's pulling back out in some of these sections.
Absolutely. He's looking good. And there is a difference. I didn't look. Oh, look at that. Bryson Neal way out going around those ruts. That was an interesting line. Those ruts must be getting very deep, and he figured, you know, instead of blitzing through this water, we're just going to jump over, go out into the mud, and find our own line. Wyatt Wilkins seeing that and said, yeah, that's a pretty good idea, man. I think I'm going to try that as well.
Those two make it through clean. And it's not just that section. The section before it getting very deep, too, as we jump back up to our top.
I know there is a mix of tire setups in the front here. I did visibly see that Wyatt Wilkins definitely on the standard 21-inch front, 20-inch rear. And there we see Josh Merritt now coming through that section as well, trying to make up some time, get back in touch with the lead group. There is... Oh, look at that. Now Owens dropped back again. So he was up a little bit further, and now he is... I guess he was behind Merritt as scoring as well. Looked like Jared McClure coming through there as well. I believe I saw Jay Shadron look like he was on the 21-inch front, 20-inch, what we'll call smalls or regular tires. And then the one rider that I know for a fact is on the big tires in that lead group is your leader, Hunter Hart. I did see he had the 23-inch front, 22-inch rear, so he is max ground clearance, just trying to carry speed through the ruts, which could equate for the fact a lot of the other riders squaring up, jumping out of the ruts. Hunter Hart just mainline, running it, power to the ground, and just bulldogging his way through it.
As you can see, that one rider making their way through pretty close to our camera there here at the mile 3. This is going to be one of the sections where they can choose an inside or an outside line. Might be one of the fewer sections where they can actually make some passes is right here.
Yeah, we talked about the line opportunities and kind of concerned about how many we'd see. And I've been impressed so far. We've caught a couple of those in the drone shots as well, where a rider's been able to take 2-3 different options, and maybe not crazy better or worse, but at least somewhat competitive to where if a rider gets stuck or if they need to try to make something happen, they have somewhere to go.
And take a look at just how brutal this is as they make their way over the hill here at the mile 5.
I think what's interesting to see here is see those grooves in the center line of the rut. So that is actually where the skid plate, sprocket guard, rotor guard, whatever setup that they may have, it actually starts to draw like little grooves in the top of the dirt there, so you can really see it kind of right here. If we stop the camera right there, and yep, right there, those grooves, that's actually the skid plate, the sprocket guard, the rotor guard digging down into the dirt. What that does is it holds the machine up so the tires are not fully on the ground. You guys pointed out earlier the whole rocking side to side thing. That's exactly what they're doing. If the bike is high centered, we call it, you'll push to one side to get one tire to grip, then lean to the other way, and you're kind of almost seesawing your way out of the ruts to get yourself so you can get back off that center ridge. A lot of times at the end of the day today, they'll go through and actually knock that ridge down for tomorrow with a little mini dozer.
Question for you, Johnny. So when they're making ruts there with their sprockets, is there a chance that any of them get bent? Is there any kind of protection?
Oh, yeah. So they'll run on the ATV a lot of the most common setup nowadays. Back in the day, we ran skid plates, which was a full metal, whether it be aluminum or stainless steel protector that goes underneath, just like you would have on a linkage, a dirt bike, or even a frame skid on a dirt bike. It would go under the sprocket, the rotor, and the bottom of the swing arm. What we figured out over the years was in these situations, you could gain a lot of ground clearance if you remove that skid plate. So now the most common setup for GNCC is a sprocket guard, which is essentially two blank sprockets that don't have teeth cut on them next to the sprocket that protects the sprocket in the chain and won't allow it to jump to either the left or the right, so it keeps it on, and then just a little mini skid under the rotor to stop it from getting bent.
This has been Tech Tips with Johnny Gallagher.
There we see Bryson Neal really starting to pressure Hunter Hart now. Wyatt Wilkins lean back, and look at this now. Josh Merritt on the charge. Thought I saw that on the last camera. He has gotten back to Jay Shadrad, and he was several positions further back. He has gotten around Jared McClure. He has brought Brandon Owens with him, and they are charging. But Josh Merritt, I think right now, looking to be the rider that's making the most noise on the track. And there is McClure now in that number 6 spot.
Man, they are blazing fast through this section. Like a roller coaster they're in control of. Amazing to see these pro riders up at the top now waiting
Do you notice how they're leaning back through there? They're just trying to get any bike they can. Just shows just how slick the track is. Now here comes the Gator. Adam McGill did see he had the big tires on as well. Just behind him is the 10 of Forge, and then number 8 of Stephen Harrell starting to stir. He has been sitting back quite a bit further than he would surely like to be in the running order. There's Abney. I think the rider in front of him may have been Walker Fowler when they came through. A challenging lap for him a lap ago, but Austin Abney, very impressive in these conditions. Although, if I had to guess, I didn't look closely, I bet you he does not have goggles on because he just loves to take those off.
Certainly his style right there, yeah.
Yeah, it's like he starts, he goes the first couple turns, he's like, yep, don't need these things.
I'm over it.
I wonder if they bother him. I wonder what it is.
I talked to him once about it, and
could
he said
he wear goggles without the lenses in them?
Oh, geez, let's not even get into this. Have you seen Stu Baylor's screen door goggles?
I have not.
The worst idea ever. Hopefully he'll run it tomorrow and we'll all get to see it.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch. We're going to get ready to send things to another commercial break to hear from our sponsors, but right now it is all Hunter Hart in control of things, fighting back against your reigning champion Bryson Neal, trying to track him down. Wyatt Wilkin now moved into a podium spot, and Josh Merritt, the man on the move, not to mention Alex Tiemann, now taking over that XC2 lead. We're done with pit stops. Now it's back to work. Who's going to come out on top? In the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon, we're going to find out shortly. After this, we'll be right back on RacerTV.com.
Hear that? That's the new stuff. It's going to be 90 minutes of non-stop fun.
Well, we got a high point in the dirt, baby. We're gonna get after it.
How was the day in the dirt, all right?
Red Bull Day in the Dirt out east is returning to High Point August 29th through the 31st. That's Labor Day weekend at High Point. You know what that means? It means fun. It means dirt bikes. It means hanging out bench racing with your pal. So come join us. Red Bull Day in the Dirt. We'll see you there.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Hello, everybody, and welcome back on RacerTV.com. Round 8, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC. Hey, we've got some exciting stuff coming up, including our Blackwater reunion, where we're going to be throwing things back in celebration of the Blackwater 100. Mikey Williams was able to catch up and tell us a little bit more about it.
The Blackwater 50-year reunion celebration is coming to Davis, West Virginia on Monday, June 23rd. Here's your chance to line up on the iconic Main Street of Davis for an epic photo and video opportunity with the Blackwater film crew. Then after the lineup and photos are taken, we will meet at the Riverfront Park for food and drinks from our friends at Siriana's Cafe. Join us on Monday, June 23rd after the Snowshoe GNCC in Davis, West Virginia.
Well, very, very, very cool, very special. Can't encourage you guys enough. If you're at Snowshoe and you're sticking around, go to that. I know we spoke with Adam McGill prior to today's race, and he's going to be there. Chuck DeLulo, some big names in ATV racing and GNCC history going to be there, and obviously some amazing ATVs and bikes on display as well.
And that's going to be, like you said, the day after Snowshoe,
Yeah.
so that's going to be some cool stuff. And I'll tell you right now, Adam McGill is fired up for it.
He is. He is fired up. He'll be out there, and he's got the three-wheeler he's going to be bringing out to that as well. So going to be very, very cool, very special event. I'm assuming Johnny Gallagher will be there. Johnny's been racing GNCC for all 50 years. I think he was no, I'm kidding. He's not here to defend himself. How many? Only 47. Only 47 years. There's the boys, Isaac and the boys, Free Howard's Hole. They got some love earlier from Tim Cotter. He called them ornery punks, but he's like, genuinely, they're good dudes. So Free Howard's Hole, it will be freed. And that guy has some opinions about the University of Pittsburgh there. Free Howard's Hole. Those guys are fun, man. They will be at Howard's Hole.
Snowshoe is fun. We were just talking about it earlier. If there's one event where you want to bring people out to, I said it's a party and a race breaks out. Like it's absolutely insane and certainly unique here on the tour.
Some public service announcements to you guys. Tim Cotter's been saying this at the starting line for each one. He encouraged everybody, come to the Snowshoe, let's party, let's have fun. I think if you guys know me, you know I'm on that side of things too. Things have gotten a little out of control in some aspects. They're going to have more law enforcement there. They're going to be cracking down on underage drinking. They're going to be cracking down on if you're stealing signage. So, guys, just behave.
Yes.
Behave the best you can within reason. Don't make too many bad decisions out there at Snowshoe Mountain. We know it's a party. Love it, but party responsibly. This section, I was watching you guys call this. This is those routes. I mean, it's nuts. We got a bottleneck right here, developing maybe. Well, and there's that wiggle Johnny was talking about.
We've seen this thing get chewed up more and more as the race has gone on, and we're still only an hour into this. The leaders on screen. It looks like new leader Bryson Neal has taken over the number 1 spot now from Hunter Hart in the 2 spot, and it looked like that was still Wilkin in 3.
Looking at 3, saw Merritt there, I believe, too, right? Was that the number 4?
Certainly sounds possible. Merritt has been on the charge. That was, I believe, Brandon Owens charging forward as well.
B.O. having a good ride. See how Hunter Hart can respond. This is it's been interesting to see. Apparently, to get Bryson Neal to have a slow start, he just got to become a dad, and have a baby, and sounds like a lot of lack of sleep, but he still finds himself out in front, just over the halfway mark of this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's certainly some changes. We saw him with long white socks. He was wearing New Balances when he came in this morning. So
jean shorts below the knee.
This is the new chapter of Bryson Neal.
There goes McGill, and now Borge making his way through. I think that might have been McClure that was just ahead of him. And then there goes Harold.
Yep.
That was Glada.
And looks like that might have been Abney just behind him.
Those guys they've had their work cut out for them. That start, those guys getting tangled up in that first turn, it's just been hard to go since. Wilkin about the only guy who's made out all right from that.
Let's see.
Possibly Grayson Eller.
We need Eagle Eye back.
Yeah. brown guy, brown bike.
Yeah, everybody the same shade of Mount Morris mud.
Yeah.
They call that the Mount Morris magenta.
The magenta, yeah, I like that. That's got a good ring to it. Got a good ring to it. So over halfway point, Hunter Hart has said earlier this season, like he feels like if he can get that start, he can hang with Bryson Neal. He proved that in his win. Today he's going to have another opportunity, it looks like. We're getting reports of 5-lap race. So, yeah, I guess that does make sense. We're 2 into it. They are about 6 minutes away from checking in, so that makes sense. 5 laps for these guys when it's all said and done. So Hunter Hart's going to have his opportunity to maybe try to find his way back around Bryson Neal. There went Wyatt Wilkin.
Possibly Josh Merritt as well.
Yeah.
And you can see the way the ruts are developing now.
4x4 making his way by, buddy. You're in the wrong race. There's Merritt.
There's
wow,
Merritt.
Okay.
So pretty decent gap. Back to Merritt.
And then Brandon Owens.
Owens right there. So pit stops in the books as far as fueling goes. I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see these guys slow down, stop, get a fresh pair of goggles next time they roll through.
Well, and the teams, they always make the most of those quick stops as well. Rinse the radiators off, the seat, the grips. Simple little things like that can wind up paying dividends late in the race.
It sure can. Leaders back on screen here from our Yamaha Racing Live drone. The man of many names leading the way, the Outlaw, the Bidwell Bullet, the Bidwell Bunny. Dad now.
Pop. I don't know what we're calling him.
I'm sure this is going to be a fun one for him to look back at and say, just the day before this, you came in. So it's
cool
came
stuff.
into this world. It is.
He got a little emotional too when I was talking to him, which rightfully so. But he didn't quite tear up. But I could kind of tell it was certainly getting to him. I'm sure it's been an emotional few days for him, and just got to assume maybe mom's watching back home, or maybe at this point she's like, nope, absolutely not. It scares me to death. Don't want to watch. But if you are watching at home, Mom, congratulations to you. You got a proud dad with you. Or with us today, at least.
Absolutely, yeah.
And to your point, Zach, I think you was like, it'll be the fastest post-race interview ever.
How's your race? Good. I got to go.
Good. Peace. See you.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Yeah, we made the joke yesterday after the EMTB race. We could just do the podium via Zoom.
We could do
pouring rain. You guys can just call us. Tell us all about it.
We might prefer it if it starts raining again.
So there they go. The top riders make their way through the mile 11 mark as we get close now to checking in with what will be 3 laps complete here in this 5-lap race. Expecting a 2-lap card in the hands of Mr. Ricky Towery as Josh Merritt makes his way by there on the number 4. Still haven't caught who that was behind Wilkin. Yeah, possibly Jay Shatteron. We'll have to see. Wasn't quite able to catch that rider either.
I didn't see headlights.
I was about to say, you'd think we'd see the lights, but we know he was up there.
Here we go. Maybe we can get him now. Once they check in, we will be able to get him for sure. And make their way. They cut over the road right here at the starting line.
And if this is our leaders, Hart doing a great job of keeping Neal close, which is going to be crucial. But Neal, that's the thing about Bryson that's so dangerous, is he doesn't need that gap. He is comfortable with you being a couple of bike lengths back for the entirety of the race, and it doesn't seem to push him into any kinds of mistakes.
Okay, there he is. With Hart still just right there, only a matter of a bike length or two.
Tight section right there. Single lane looks pretty well rutted out, at least from the Yamaha Racing Live drone.
And one thing we haven't really talked about a ton, it gets dark when the clouds go in front of it, but when the sun comes out, these shadows really start to play tricks as well. It gets really dark in some of these sections.
Yeah, vision wasn't hard enough already.
Big kick there for Hart.
A few miles of bad road ahead of them. Make their way through the hay bales.
Yeah, Wilkin in third. He's within striking distance. 1, 2, and 3 close. I don't think any of these 3 guys are stopping for goggles. They have got a race going on. A thumbs up right there. Back to work.
Wilkin, a few pulls there from the roll-offs. Seems to be in good shape.
Yeah, he was digging right there, trying to make up a little bit of time in these open sections. You see him just glancing to the left, trying to pace and see exactly where those top 2 are. That is one kind of nice thing being in that 3rd place spot. If you know second has first in sight, he's more worried about him than he is you behind him. So you can kind of sneak up and maybe start applying some pressure to Hunter Hart before he even realizes he's there. Looks like Hart actually stretched it out a little bit through that last bit of open section.
Yeah, Wyatt looking like he almost checking up right there before dipping back out or down into the woods. See how it's going to shake out here after 3, closing in on the finish line, and Ricky Towery. Finish line, pretty gnarly little section today. Notice that big time. Those poor youth bikes, their micro bikes this morning, the struggles were on.
Shout out to the parents.
Oh my goodness, that was crazy.
Yeah, I can't quite tell how off camber some of this is.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that's a hillside right there. I don't know if there's a flat spot on the entire property, to be completely honest.
Exactly.
Well, and if it is, it's underwater.
It is, yeah, that's exactly it.
It is. Here's the hill now.
Man, look how wide that got. Holy smokes. That really does it justice right there.
Well, and these pros, they do such a great job of arcing these corners out. You can even see in this section right here what was these guys are running more of a high and tight line through that spot. But they really do a great job of putting these corners together.
This is the final section before they're going to check in now with 3 laps complete.
So
thought maybe that was a lock-in for a moment. Too soon, too soon.
Bryson Neal. That's a pretty good shot. Show you the hillside right there, how off camber it is. And one of the things that we don't really talk about as much is, you know, with the quads, you can't lean into the hillside. You can lean, but the machine, it's not leaning at all. 4 wheels, so, oh man, maybe 3 wheels on the ground right there. Neal hard on the brakes as he takes the 2 to go.
1.859, that is the gap. Call it 2 seconds, forget it. We can see how close it is on Racer TV. Hunter Hurt got him in the crosshairs. Hunter being very patient right now. Staying behind him, we take a look at the lap times this last lap. A 24:54. How about a B. Neal 24:43 or 24:40? They just updated. It's insane, just insane. Wilkin, a heater,
about a second faster than Hart as well. So those guys neck and neck on speed.
So Wilkin checking in that 3 spot, 4.5 seconds back. Shadron in the number 4 position. He is 6 seconds back, and then Josh Merritt in 5th. That's where the biggest gap is, about 18 seconds back to him.
So that is Jay Shadron that we've been seeing in that 4th place spot. Not sure what's going on with the headlights here today. Normally Shadron always has those hair.
Might be covered in mud.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Yep, probably is the case. Shadron always has those headlights turned on for us. The only rider in the class, so easy to spot.
They're actually hazarding right now.
Yeah. Got his flashers on.
Yep. Whoa, big kick right there. We've seen a couple of big kickers develop in this track.
So it looks like they're starting to break away just a bit from Wyatt Wilkin. Hart's not letting go.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Rider.
He actually did a good job of kind of checking up just a little bit.
You see how Bryson Neal was able to get through that section. Neal able to maneuver that machine. All of these riders able to maneuver that machine. They make sure that front end doesn't get caught there in that hiccup in the corner. And as you can see, just where that fan is standing right there, that is where the riders need to avoid. Just before right there. And a good run. I believe that was Chris Borge making his way by.
Well, and that fan doing a great job of kind of telling them just a little signal, and they check up a little bit earlier, pivot, and can slide into it with the rear end of the machines. And he's taking some sacrifice there.
Yeah, he is, dude. Taking ruse.
Man of the people.
It's our guy right there, man.
We're gonna do a feature called Heroes of Racer TV, where we have the one guy lifting everybody's quad up. We've got this guy, shows you the true heroes.
Oh, look, he's over there packing in some dirt, throwing some stuff over there. He's going to get it fixed for us.
Mud fleas in full force today. They've been called to duty in preparation for Howard's Hole in a few weeks.
Yep, this is the warm-up.
This is a warm-up.
Yeah.
Tryouts.
Adam McGill.
There's Chris Borge.
And Borich, great start for him. Grabbing a hole shot early. Was that Abney? Yeah, it would have been Abney. I saw no goggles. There you go. That's getting it done.
Man, that was slideways.
That absolutely was. This is gnarly. I mean, you got to think it might become a factor. Leaders come through. We saw a lapper have some struggles here. Thankfully, he got out just before Bryson Neal hit this section. But man, this could really be an issue.
Well, then you can see what was kind of an arced angle has now turned into almost a right angle where they're sliding and hitting the side.
Well, one good thing about it, our pro riders.
That was a good line.
That was good.
Just have to do it 2 more times.
Yeah, that's it. So Neil, Hart, Wilkin, Shadron, and Merritt. There's your top 5. Brandon Owen 6th, McGill 7th, Borich 8th, Abney 9th, and rounding out that top 10, the Cobra, Jared McClure. Shout out to XC2, Dalton Keys. Man, he was back in about 3rd place, now in 1st place.
Wow.
As far as the XC2 is concerned. So teaming with some troubles, and Braxton Gross with some troubles after a red-hot start by him.
So Gross now on the bubble. Take a look at that. Your leader looks like taking, couldn't tell whether that was hydration or potentially like a rag for the grips.
Yeah, I couldn't tell either. It could have been either.
Like we talk about vision, kind of the go-to as far as conditions like this go, but grip, the other name of the game. Jackson and I were sitting at the finish line earlier today, and one of our micro riders, everybody's yelling, go, twisting the arm, but he's just spinning on the grip. He couldn't hold tight enough to actually turn the throttle. So, yeah, these riders definitely doing everything they can to maintain grip on the handlebars and on the seats as well. A couple different lines through that section.
Yeah, and it looked like they were coming together there. Not sure which riders that was. I don't believe that was our lead pack, as now they are on the screen.
Oh, 3rd, reeling them in.
That was the lead pack in that.
So
things have closed in big time now.
How about line choices? Good call by Wilkin. Wilkin now. Oh, and no, I missaw that. It almost looked like Hunter Hart was waving him on.
It looked like a wave almost to me.
But maybe just pulling on the goggles.
Shaking out some arm pump?
Yeah, possibly. But, man, Wilkin is right there now.
And Chadron is as well.
And Jay Shad, he talked about that before the race. You know, he has been very, very close to some podium finishes and feels like he's left some on the table, let some slip away this year. Boy, he's not been this close in a while. This is an opportunity for Jay Shad.
Well, you know, Mikey, when you were talking to him there, he was saying he was getting some of the kinks figured out out there at the top of the charts, getting used to riding up at the tip top there, and he said had a few little mistakes like missing water bottles, just simple stuff that he's got to get dialed in. And he said he thought he'd be good to go as we see the Gator making his way by here at the mile 3 mark.
Just shows how much those top guys are the tip of the spear as far as little things like getting hydration at certain times. We've even heard some guys like Grayson Eller talk about that. Little things like taking the hydration, even if you don't think you need it. They say if you wait till you're thirsty, you've already waited too long. So it's, every little detail has to be down to a T with these top riders.
So, yeah, mile marker 3. Maybe that was the difference maker, at least for Wilkin, to make up a little time. Just a great line choice by him. What a gnarly track this one is. I feel like these guys just don't ever get much of a break. Even your open sections or off camber is just tough track. Neil Hart and Wilkin putting on a show out front. We watch the rest of it unfold here at mile marker 3.
So I believe that was the tail end of our XC1 class making their way by. We'll see. Going to have a break in the action here.
The fans looking for their next spot to go scope out.
Yep.
Hopefully they're able to pick up. I saw a Red Bull out here with us, handing out some of those complimentary Red Bulls. Hopefully they're able to snag one on their way to the next shot. I see the free Howard's Hole fellas. I think they've been mixing some stuff with their Red Bull, but nonetheless, here we go. Welcome to Mason-Dixon.
Doing the GNCC shuffle here.
Our leaders are due next, so this could be, all right, come on.
There you go, there you go. Hammer out.
Potential to be dangerous.
Look at that.
Man, that's getting bad.
Good job.
And watch that now. Watch our pro riders make their way by. Some more amateurs.
They might. This guy right here is having some troubles as well.
Oh, and our pros are expected here any minute, OPAG is saying. Possibly our leader making his way by. I wasn't able to catch it, but that is what we're being told.
Trying to see.
The GNCC shuffle is real right now at mile 5.
Yeah, this is getting...
looks like obviously an alternate line around there, at least I'm assuming. Because it looks like some riders going the opposite way.
Here we go. That is Hunter Hart. Now Wilkin.
So yeah, OPAG.
No, maybe not.
Neil,
I don't think. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, Neil in second.
How about that?
Flip flops.
Hunter Hart taking the lead back.
And Wilkin?
There's Wilkin.
That is Wilkin. So they got the gap back on Wilkin, but we flip-flop leaders. Hunter Hart, your new leader.
That might have been Shadron.
Oh, man, this is... Here, give him a nudge. There you go. There's a little help. And he said, hey, wait, come back and help me.
That's one way to do it.
That was smart by that rider right there, kind of rolling up the side of the lines.
Not his first rodeo.
Bumper
that was
through there.
That was solid. Yeah, that was great.
There's
Merritt.
See if we see Brandon Owens, or if he's possibly gotten around.
I didn't catch Owens, but very well could have missed him.
There's Abney. I'll take a look back. That is going to be Harrell, I believe. So Steven through the mile 5.
Tough day for Fowler. Man, he, like you guys heard the pre-race interview, he was definitely focused. Felt like he had a win in him today, and it has just not gone his way. Smoking.
Yeah, we talk about how much of a mental game this is. You got to wonder, having those confidence, coming in, if it almost makes the fall that much harder when things do start to not go your way. But we know the strength that Walker has, not just physically but mentally, but man, certainly not going the direction he was hoping for today.
Yeah, no doubt. That's John Glotta making his way by here at the mile 5 as we get ready to throw it to a break to end this one out.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. We thought we might see a Bryson Neal runaway. Everybody talking about snowshoe, but you can't talk about snowshoe until you get through the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon, and we have got a battle on our hands. Hunter Hart has taken back over the lead. Bryson Neal hot on his heels with Wyatt Wilkin, rounding out your top 3, and yet another new leader out of that XC2 class. We'll see how things are going to shape out just after this quick commercial break right here live on RacerTV.com.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way?
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line on the gas tank.
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
You hear that? That's two strokes. It's going to be 90 minutes of non-stop fun.
Well, yeah, High Point, stay in the dirt, baby. We're gonna get after it.
How was the day in the dirt, all right?
Red Bull Day in the Dirt out east is returning to High Point August 29th through the 31st. That's Labor Day weekend at High Point. You know what that means? It means fun. It means dirt bikes. It means hanging out bench racing with your pals. So come join us. Red Bull Day in the Dirt. We'll see you there.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Round 8, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC. And here in 2025, our title sponsor, Progressive Insurance, hanging out with us. And as you can see, we've got a lot of toys, is what I like to call them. Whether we're talking about the vehicles, talking about the campers, Progressive has got ways to protect it. And on top of that, guys, they can probably help you save a couple bucks. Jackson, I know you, a longtime user of Progressive.
Yeah, I actually just talked to them this week. Man, they can insure everything. They insure my business, they insure my personal vehicles, and they can insure yours too, and they can insure your RV or mobile home. Make sure to check them out. Scan that QR code there on your screen, and they'll get you fixed up.
Everybody talking about going with the flow. We'll go with flow with Progressive Insurance. Nice little plug there. And now we've had to get the mud fleas involved. We knew it was going to happen, and this poor guy has been working by himself. Now he's got a couple of buddies to come take all the glory from him, and they're going to get in there and get a little bit of that Mount Morris soil on them as they try to help out our ATV racers. And it's man, I'm impressed. Hunter Hart, we haven't seen it, not just from Hunter Hart, but from anybody really. When Bryson Neal passes you, there's not usually a lot of passing him back this year. And, wow, Hunter has taken back the lead. We'll see whether or not Bryson's getting comfy in that number 2 spot. I somehow doubt it.
And this is twice now this year. You know, Hunter Hart with the one win held off Bryson Neal. And here today, they've gone back and forth a few times. Unfortunately, we've not been able to see those passes, how it unfolded, but Hunter Hart, like, you know, he has talked the talk. He's had a couple of opportunities this year to show that he can do that, and he's doing it here again today.
Yeah, got a good opportunity for it. I was almost taken aback when we saw Bryson Neal in that second place spot. Zach, you're right. You don't see him moving back to that second place spot hardly ever.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be impressive to watch the two of them go and do battle, because I think Hart, we talked about, he was aware he had some struggles, and I think Hart's the kind of guy where he's going to build a lot of confidence, as we see him on screen right now, by putting the pressure and putting the results to this competition. He's got a lot of respect for what Bryson does, and you know, beating him and even getting back around him is going to do wonders for his confidence, as we still see him out front. Neal just behind, Bryson just behind him, and then Wyatt Wilkin, I think, has actually made up a little bit of time on that top 2.
I'm a little confused by that last camera shot. I'm wondering, is there somebody, possibly an amateur rider? There's for sure somebody between those top 2 and Wilkin there. Could Shadron have made a move, or could that be just one of our amateur or lap riders out there? We'll have to wait for another camera shot, no for sure, but possibly some changes going on there for sure. Whoever those were, those riders were will to will, as now we see the number 4 of Merritt making his way by.
Yeah, I saw what you were talking about there. The rider was carrying a fair amount of speed, similar to the rest of them, but might have been an amateur just looking for a spot to potentially get out of the way. As there we see Chris Borich on screen.
There's some moves being made by Borich.
Could see, was that maybe McGill behind him?
It was.
Couldn't quite make out those riders. Harrell and Fowler. As Eagle Eye screams from the back.
As Johnny said, from the end of the semi TV trailer, he happened to glance at the 12-inch iPad on display and knew.
And Eagle Eye is colorblind. That's the only way I can catch it.
I think it's a superhuman power.
I thought he was messing with
us.
Yeah, seriously, I did too. All right, here we go. Mile 10, the FMF PowerPoint. Going to see who's in the mix up there in those top spots. Hunter Hart having himself a day here today.
White flag will be coming out this next time around, too. By the way, a 5-lap race when it's all said and done.
An hour and 35 minutes into this one, probably going to go just a little bit over that 2-hour mark.
They're going to get their money's worth today. We might get some bonus racing over that 2-hour mark. For the pros, a far cry from what we had this morning, where we were having to kind of abbreviate, not really abbreviate, but run them a little shorter than the allotted time.
There it is, Hunter Hart. Out front, Bryson Neal just behind him charging. Yeah, those are 2 riders going fast.
Yeah, 3 going very fast.
Yeah. Well, there was 4 actually that went through there. So Shadron and Wilkin, not sure the order. But yeah, that's these guys are charging. We got 4 riders still very much in the mix for the lead here as we approach what we expect to see a white flag waving, meaning one more lap around this very, very slippery, very dynamic Mason-Dixon racecourse here, and they have now distanced themselves quite a bit over Josh Merritt. Looked like he was putting in a charge there, and he is now back in that number 5 spot. But what was an 18-second gap, as I continue to talk, continues to grow.
It does indeed. Could this be him? No.
Left rider coming through.
So taking a look here, Jay Shadron's best finish so far is a 5th place. If that is him in that 3rd place spot, that would be quite the achievement.
There is Merritt and McGill. I did not see Brandon Owens come through there.
Oh, it's still tight. So Bryson Neal and Hart, or Hart and Bryson Neal, should say, out in front last time we saw, and I believe this is our battle for the lead.
So there we go. Hunter Hart still leading the way over Bryson Neal. Now seeing our 3rd place. That does appear to be the number 3 now. So that'll put Shadron into the 4th place spot.
A big gap back to 5th. At Merritt, Owens, McGill, Boric in the mix back there as well. But yeah, Hart, Neal, and Wilkin trying to stretch things out just a little bit.
And here we go at the mile 11 marker, your leader on screen.
There is Hunter Hart still leading the way, and just behind him, the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal.
Hunter Hart, little look over to the camera right there. Put a little hot sauce on it for us, like it.
There is...
Oh, hey. Oh. There we go. All good.
Left rider there. Shadron and Wilkin, I believe, already did make their way through that camera shot. Those were the 2 riders in front there in the number 3 and 4 spot. Been a while since we've seen 4 riders this close to the end of a race coming down, battling over, I mean, one little left rider mix up, little bottleneck, even just some multi-line situations. We could see big shakeups inside the top 4.
Getting close. Leaders due in just about a minute. Get some open sections here. Some off-camber doesn't quite do it justice.
Bryson Neal throwing everything at it, but Hunter Hart having an answer for it right now.
See if Hunter Hart can hold him off. He's got to do it for another lap plus a minute. But that is going to feel real good if the number 6 can check in for a white flag from Ricky Towery, holding the lead. Going to be that much more confidence for him heading into that last lap. He's done it once this season, has the confidence to do it. We know that. Can he make it twice in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, you got to believe that that first win in 2024 or 2025 was a big feather in the cap for Hunter Hart. Really seemed to get things going in his direction. He said, hey, we've been working on it. We finally got it figured out. Followed up with the 6th at the next round. Not what he's looking for. And now he's got an opportunity just 2 weeks later to put himself back in the winner's circle and making the most of it right now. Bryson Neal putting pressure on him. Look at that. Bryson Neal reaching up, adjusting the goggles there in that section of racetrack. Interesting.
Hey.
And you can see that left rider moving over, taking a look over the shoulder and saying, yeah, the Bidwell Bullet, not somebody I want to jump in front of. He is in a hurry to get home to see his new baby girl. And looking like maybe going to come in for another splash.
That's what I was thinking.
Looking like he was removing the dry brake cap there. That'll be an interesting move. He's coming in.
Yeah, he certainly is. You can just tell by the body language. Splash of gas, and it's
going to lose a spot, 2 spots, to both Jay Shadron and Wyatt Wilkin. Oh, no, he actually gets out in front of Shadron. Jay Shadron's got a full log across the front of his ATV. Look at this. If we see Bryce Neal getting slideways, Shadron now right to the rear wheels of Bryce Neal. Bryce Neal doing the math in his head, making the decision, but they had the fuel jug ready for him. Definitely not something that would normally be a 2-stop strategy, but maybe Bryson, knowing obviously works on his own machine, probably knows his fuel mileage better than anybody else, and realizing that with the track conditions today, a lot of spinning, a lot of ruts, again, a lot of wheel spin, playing it safe. He didn't come all this way to run out of fuel and miss a whole day with his new baby girl. He definitely looking like he was playing it safe there, because no one else making a stop. They won't make one next lap because it's less than a half mile from there to the finish line. If they make it that far, I mean, you're going to roll the dice and you're going to chance it unless you've got at least 20, 30 seconds over the rider behind you. So I believe those are the final pit stops, and Bryce Neal losing one and almost losing another spot. Oof, things continue to go sideways for the number 2. Looks like up Walker Fowler with a pretty not great goggle stop there. Those goggles were not on at all, and he is sitting back. Last we saw, 12th outside the top 10 overall. Just a challenging struggle for him here today.
Yeah, interesting. The Bryson Neal pit stop. What's your thoughts, Johnny? I mean, fresh goggles makes sense, but to take the extra time for the splash of fuel, to my knowledge, I don't ever remember you making the observation that Bryson Neal's heavy on fuel.
No, and I mean, looking at the race clock at 1 hour 42, and looking at lap times of around 24 minutes, the last lap around for Bryson Neal, this is going to be barely over 2 hours. I mean, I just can't wrap my head around where a 2-stop strategy was necessary, but hey, man, it's shaken up the landscape of the race, and it's put Wyatt Wilkin up to the number 2 spot, and now he's charging after Hunter Hart. But let's not count out the Bidwell Bullet. And again, some things we don't know. Like, we'd have to go down and check perhaps an issue with the fuel can the first time through. Didn't get as much fuel in. They didn't get the bike all the way full. The crew reported back and said, hey, we didn't get you full. Let's not chance it. A lot of things can happen. Those dry brakes will stick from time to time. Or again, maybe Bryson just relayed to his crew, hey, conditions today, I think we're going to go with the 2-stop strategy. We need to get the word directly from them, but yeah, not something that I was anticipating. But what Hunter Hart was not anticipating is the number 3 of Wyatt Wilkin putting in a big charge, and now seeing he's got an opportunity to get to the lead. He is all out right now. This is an all-out push from Wyatt Wilkin. Just received the white flag there, starting the final lap of racing, and he is absolutely gunning for that lead position in Hunter Hart right now.
Well, Jackson Burrell is going to make his way over to the ATV Pro Row to see if we can get a word in with the Phoenix Racing Yamaha pits. See if we get some insight on that strategy as white flag is out and a battle out in front between Hart and Wilkin.
Yeah, guys, this is really turning into a battle here with Wyatt Wilkin on the charge after he gets the kind of gimme spot there for Bryson Neal. Bryson Neal pulling in unexpectedly for a second fuel stop. It breathes new wind into Wyatt Wilkin's sails, and now he is really charging after your leader, Hunter Hart. He's coming after him, and right now he's got him in his sights. This one is really going to get exciting in the last lap of racing, Zach.
Well, and you got to talk about being given a gift, being given the pass on Bryson Neal. Think about how difficult that is to do, get around the number 1 of Bryson Neal. He was able to do it quickly. Wasn't probably expecting Bryson to take that pit stop. Now he says, wait a second, that's now the lead that I've got right in front of me. Absolutely. Wyatt Wilkin doing the most, taking advantage of the opportunity he's been given.
Well, not only that, what's interesting about this is the fact that he does not now have to pass Bryson Neal. He was able to kind of just acquire that spot. It is so hard to pass in conditions like this, especially with the roost. You're doing everything you can to try to keep that vision clear, and he's just fighting, struggling for vision. And we saw him drop back off of Bryson several times. Well, now it's just a slightly different motivation because it's not a pass for second. This is a pass for lead. Wyatt Wilkin is going to be more than happy to eat roost this entire lap to stay right there. But look at this. It's not just a 2. Look at that stick Jay Shadron carrying around. They're in the number 4 spot. So Wyatt's got to be a little bit careful because he does still have the big number 1 of the Bidwell Bullet right behind him there in the number 3 spot. And then just behind him, Jay Shadron hanging tough, lurking, wanting a piece of the podium pie here today.
Yeah, Wilkin just about 3 seconds faster than your leader on that last lap. So a couple of seconds here, a couple of seconds there. It could be nothing more than getting hung up in a spot. And look at this.
My goodness.
Wheel to wheel. The number 3 must have watched the Earnhardt documentary because he is going for it right now.
Dude. Wow. That was a thing of beauty.
Man, this is an all-out, full-on assault on Hunter Hart right now. Wyatt Wilkin taking no prisoners, taking all of the chances, and this is going to get exciting. I think we are going to see some wheel-to-wheel banging, definitely going to see some passes. And keep in mind, folks, this isn't a 2-rider duel. Just literally a matter of 15 feet behind them. We've got 2 more riders, both Bryson Neal and Jay Shadron, very much in the mix for this win here. Folks, if you didn't make your popcorn, you're too late now. Yep. Hopefully your drink is full and it's cold, because do not look away from the screen for the next about 15 minutes of racing action. This one is going to be a barn burner.
I have to laugh. I saw Wyatt Wilkin taking care of some business right before the race.
I saw your post when I took my little break.
You got to bet on the horse in the Kentucky Derby that pees right before the race. Well, hey, that may come true here. Wyatt Wilkin may have a new pre-race strategy if he can pull this one off. But, man, Wilkin has been not happy with himself several times this year. And, yeah, he's going to throw everything he can at Hunter Hart. And I got to think, besides maybe Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Wyatt Wilkin, if either of those guys had the lead, they're probably going to be the toughest guy on the track to pass of all of them, just because of how hungry they are and how much they expect themselves to be in this position.
Well, you got to wonder whether Hunter Hart knows that it's Wyatt Wilkin. He probably is thinking it's the number 1 of Bryson Neal.
He took a look over. Okay. He took a look over his shoulder in the field, and you could almost see him adjust his body position as he realized, like, oh wait, this is somebody different. This has just changed. Now because riders will 100% ride differently based on who it is behind them. You can see him again taking a look over his shoulder, and it is still Wilkin there in the number 2 spot, and just behind him, it looks like they have now shaken Jay Shadron just a little bit, but you can see there Hunter Hart getting a much better drive out of those deep ruts. Again, with those bigger tires, he's got the grip where these guys are slipping and able to stretch it out just a little bit. This is where we saw a lap ago Wyatt Wilkin. Now this may be a battle for a position here. Bryson Neal this time right up the gut. He's the one that made that outside line 2 laps ago. Wyatt Wilkin taking it, but Bryson Neal knowing you cannot pass a rider in front of you. You've got to get outside the line if you're going to try to make a pass, and that's exactly what he did just there.
Saw a hand come off the handlebar there from Bryson Neal. Wasn't quite able to see what that was.
Yeah, could have been a hand gesture to another rider, or it also could have just been trying to look at this. 2 different lines up the uphill here. Bryson Neal around the outside, but not able to make a move on Wyatt Wilkin, and still just behind that duo is Jay Shadron there, still pushing, still very much in contention for a podium here today.
I'd say that our top 3 is anything but in the books at this point. This is going to flip-flop back and forth, and we hope for viewers at home and us watching here that is the case.
Well, I'll tell you what changed here. With Bryson Neal now kind of putting Wyatt Wilkin under pressure, it does not allow Wyatt to get quite as crafty with his lines. He's got to kind of stick more to being defensive while also being on offense. It makes it much more challenging for him to try to throw anything he can at Hunter Hart. And it sounds like we've got an update with our man Jackson Burrell in the pits with Chris Neal.
Yeah, sure. I'm down here with Chris. Check. There we go, guys. All right, I'm down here with Chris Neal. Chris, what was going on there for that pit stop?
We got told that he needed goggles. He didn't have any goggles on, and when I pitted him on the first 52 minutes, I wasn't sure the gas that he'd burned. I wasn't sure that he could make it 5 laps, so we put goggles on him and got him some more gas, and hopefully we can just come out and have a finished race.
All right, there's our answer, guys. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. So it sounds like that decision actually coming from the pit crew. They did a lot of times what'll happen is they'll measure how much fuel they put in the can. They'll measure how much the tank takes. They'll do the math, figure out the time run, the distance traveled, and then they'll do the math backwards and figure, does he have enough to do the full 5 laps to get to the finish? Obviously, at this point, Chris Neal, tons of experience in GNCC racing, former racer in his own right, and obviously has been a huge part of his son Bryson's program throughout the years, doing the calculations, and you heard him say there, at this point, we just want to get a finish. You know, they know they have a massive points lead, and he seemingly doing the safe thing. Not sure we can make it to the finish, but we know if we stop and we splash, and he needs goggles anyway, hey, let's just go ahead and give him a splash. Probably a smart decision.
And Bryson Neal, at this point, he's playing with a little bit of house money. There was questions of, hey, will he race today, with his wife having the baby? The second pit stop, I got to think if it was a tight points race, maybe he rolls the dice, gambles a little bit. But right now, like Bryson Neal, he comes up smelling like roses no matter what he does at this point. He's making all the right decisions in hindsight.
Well, and the reality of it is, even though track position we know is incredibly important, and we talked about how much of a benefit that was for Wyatt Wilkin getting to get around to Bryson Neal, at the same time, Bryson's still in the fight. He's right there. We know he has the speed. He's already made a lot of passes this race and gotten to the front, so it's not out of question that he could absolutely make just 2 passes. That's all he needs to grab the win today. And even if he doesn't, to still keep himself on the box or even in the top 5, great points day for him. And, he's going to be happy to go home, too. Again, as we pointed out, for those just tuning in, Bryson Neal, a new father as of yesterday. You didn't hear that wrong. Yesterday. Had a baby, wife Brooke yesterday. Probably tuned in and watching Racer TV right now, so congratulations. Oh, this could be a little bit of a interesting dynamic here. We're waiting on our leaders, and now we've got some riders stuck, and this rider is most likely going to have to get off that machine, as our leaders could very possibly be coming up to our camera shot.
Oh, boy.
Folks, it's getting interesting.
This is going to be...
Just remember, if you look at the camera operators, they are doing their job right now. They cannot come and help you.
It looks like there could potentially be a line around the outside.
I think there is. I think there's one just back here, because earlier it looked like a bottleneck was ensuing and it never quite came.
Look at that, cleared just in time for... Is that almost looks to be... No, that can't be Wyatt Wilkin. Is it? No. That is Wyatt Wilkin. Is that a new leader? Did we miss?
Unless if there's another line around this backside.
Guys, we may have a new...
Getting word from race control. We don't believe that we've missed anyone else. So Wyatt Wilkin, not just potentially a new leader, but look at this.
Well, keep in mind, folks, we're looking at a small bottleneck here. Just out of camera shot, there could be another one, and that could be what the big shakeup is. But I did not see Bryson Neal. I did not see Hunter Hart. I did not see Jay Shadron. The only rider I've seen come through is Wyatt Wilkin. And look at this. Here comes a train of riders, and I think this is now second. Which is, that almost looked like Josh Merritt. That's Adam. We must have missed our leaders. There's Walker Fowler.
They must have snuck by us.
Yeesh. Okay, well, this is a shakeup, folks. We'll go to our next camera shot and sort this one out.
We'll watch and we'll wait. Yeah, keeping you on your toes here at Racer TV.
What we can... Folks at home, keep in mind, we can only report what we see on screen. And what we saw on screen was, we believe Wyatt Wilkin was the first rider to come through that section. And we have not yet still seen Bryson Neal. We've seen Walker Fowler. We've seen Adam McGill. We've seen possibly Chris Borch, Austin Abney, and even Stephen Harrell come through now. We're going to have to assume that the likelihood we lost 3 riders in that section of racetrack, not very high. Somehow they made it through without us catching them. There may be an alternate line here we're not aware of. I myself did not go out and ride the track this week, but here at the 5-mile marker, they somehow snuck through, and we now have not sure the running order.
So all we can do is watch and wait as we hang here at the 5-mile mark. And the
I think our next camera shot is at the 9. Is that correct?
Believe you might be right there. Yeah. So going to be a minute before we see Wyatt Wilkin and potentially Hunter Hart, Bryson Neal as well. Yeah. So
yeah, about 4 more miles of racetrack to sort this one out and see what the running order is. If it's not Wyatt Wilkin leading the way, that means that he has dropped back to at least 4th spot. If the other 3 snuck through in another line, or we just didn't see them on camera. Maybe they came right up the middle and we just didn't recognize them. It is possible. We were so enamored by the fact that we had a bottleneck on the screen. We rarely catch that. It was we've got this big dip here where the riders get on the gas and they dig it out. There was a lapped rider stuck. We saw a few riders sitting back there, but they didn't look to be in a big hurry. Here comes now Jared McClure. He has lost a bunch of time there. And just behind him looks to be, wow, Josh Merritt. Something definitely happening because Merritt was much further up. Now way back there, back in the number 12 spot behind Jared McClure. So big shakeup in the last lap of racing or so. Some bottlenecks, some things changing, and we never know what you're going to get here at GNCC Racing. You can think you got it all figured out. A moment ago, Wyatt Wilkin was putting pressure on Hunter Hart. We're going to watch the replay here and see if we missed. I mean, it is possible. We were kind of excited about the bottleneck. Okay, so this is the rider that was stuck. He gets pushed out of the way. Just behind him, that does not appear. That's not one of our leaders. That is a Honda, so that is not, absolutely not one of our leaders. And the next rider, that is Wyatt Wilkin right there. So that is for sure the first rider that we saw of the lead group, unless they had already come through that section more than a minute and a half or 2 minutes ahead. So this is on screen at least. That is the first rider that we saw after that bottleneck. Oh, look at that. Whoa. Did you see those riders?
Off in the back, yeah, the back section. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, folks, we may have an issue here because that is, I don't know who that was, but that is way off the racetrack.
Yeah.
Maybe it's been rerouted and arrowed. We can't make comments about things like that, but if those were riders that Wyatt Wilkin was previously riding with, either he missed a reroute and so did the rest of the class.
What he's talking about,
look over here. We have riders
very back of the screen.
A couple hundred feet off the racetrack over there. Wow, this could be a mix-up here.
Yeah, that's not a mirrored image. That's a rider back there. I don't know. Johnny.
Well, we'll leave this one to race officials.
That
but
one's... Yeah, just this. I didn't know if we needed a stylus. We could.
Oh, yeah, we forgot. We have this. No, we're being told that may be an option line, another marked way to go.
Okay, so per Ryan, our trail boss, Ryan Eccles, that is a line. So my guess is that's where our guys went.
Yeah, so it looks like maybe Jay Shadron, Bryson Neal, and also, so Wyatt Wilkin may have chosen this line thinking he could make a pass.
Yeah.
And then with getting hung up there, most likely would have lost time. So Hunter Hart back out front still? We'll find out here in a couple miles. Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, and Jay Shadron choosing that other option line without having been down there and looked at. You can see now this one really starting to get bottlenecked up.
Well, and I mean, I'm not familiar with this area as well as you would be, Johnny. I would assume the other one looked like an absolute straight shot. You could just fly through there. So I'm going to guess the outside line is longer.
Yeah,
this
and
would be shorter.
There's obviously got to be, perhaps it's got a harder hill at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I didn't walk, bike, or ride this section of racetrack. I know where it's at, and there definitely is ways, but it would be a pretty steep climb coming up out of there. So, interesting, man, and it looks like now we may have, that looks like it almost might be Brandon Owens.
That's what I was wondering. Well, we're going to take it to a break, but it's just a lot of drama unfolding late in this one. Who is our leader? We don't know. Maybe Hunter Hart. Maybe
Bryson Neal.
Maybe Bryson Neal. Alternate lines. Hey, this is a mutter of a GNCC. We know that much. This is going to be interesting. How is this one going to play out? Will the new dad, Bryson Neal, be able to bring home another win, keep the winning ways going, or will it be Hunter Hart or Wyatt Wilkin? We'll have to wait to find out. Coming to a conclusion on this one, we are about 10 minutes away from wrapping this one up here at the Mason-Dixon GNCC. Get a word from our sponsors. Be right back after this.
You hear that? That's the new truck. It's going to be 90 minutes of nonstop fun.
Well, they got High Point, they in the dirt, baby. We're gonna get after it.
How was the day in the dirt already?
Red Bull Day in the Dirt out east is returning to High Point August 29th through the 31st. That's Labor Day weekend at High Point. You know what that means? It means fun. It means dirt bikes. It means hanging out bench racing with your pals. So come join us. Red Bull Day in the Dirt. We'll see you there.
The Blackwater 50-year reunion celebration is coming to Davis, West Virginia on Monday, June 23rd. Here's your chance to line up on the iconic Main Street of Davis for an epic photo and video opportunity with the Blackwater Film Crew. Then after the lineup and photos are taken, we will meet at the Riverfront Park for food and drinks from our friends at Siriana's Cafe. Join us on Monday, June 23rd after the Snowshoe GNCC in Davis, West Virginia. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. There's a shot of the finish line area and a muddy GNCC, some off-cambers, some rolling hills. Usually means it's a bad day to be a repeater. We have had to take out a repeater. We've put up some moose tape. It has been all hands on deck. And while we wait on the action, a shout-out to the crew. And here we go. Hunter Hart.
Hunter Hart on screen. Just behind him is Jay Shadron. He's gotten around Bryson Neal, so there is a shakeup.
So Jay Shad trying to put it on the box for the first time this season.
And then here comes the number 3 of Wyatt Wilkins. So the big loser in that exchange. We did get some explanation off camera. Our man on the scene, Cam Cotter, came in, said he spoke with Ryan Eccles, our trail boss, on the radio, talked to him and said, hey, this is what we just saw on screen. He said, yes, that is an option line. It has been arrowed all weekend since the riders pedaled it. It is a blatantly slower, obviously slower line, but safer. The main race line, which is where our camera shot is, where Wyatt Wilkins had that little bottleneck, and then himself kind of getting stuck, having to get off the machine and push. He took the, what we'll call the direct, faster, shorter line. The other riders going longer out and around, but actually able to both Bryson Neal and Jay Shadron make the pass on him because he did get stuck on that ledge. So clarifying that, we can resolve the drama. That is what happened. That's why we did not see them. They were in an alternate line that is marked and completely legal per the GNCC track crew.
That's it. So there you go. So keyboard warriors, just select all, delete. You don't have to cry and whine, I promise. Everything's okay and under control. But yeah, no, you're right, Johnny. That created for some chaos.
I mean, I myself, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that is way off the track, not knowing that that was an option line that was marked. You know, it's easy to jump to conclusions. I was guilty of it. Just to be clear, never insinuating or intending, hey, these guys are cutting. But sometimes when the track gets wild in mud races like this, you can take what you think is a perfectly good line and then realize, whoa, that was a little further off the track than I thought it was. In this particular case, they were on arrows. They were on a marked course. Maybe they even knew that from when they pedaled the track, but someone also could have been down there pointing that way, and Wyatt Wilkins saying, no, man, I'm going to take a chance, because we all do that sometimes. You know, he had what he saw as an opportunity to potentially go for the lead. And I will say this, as close as he is and as much time as he spent off the bike, had he have nailed that line, not got stuck on that ledge, not had those couple riders ahead of him, he very likely could have and would have made the pass on Hunter Hart for the lead. You know, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. In that situation, Wyatt Wilkins was the bug and got chewed up, losing 2 positions in that exchange.
Here we go. Battle on screen from the Yamaha Racing Live drone. How about this? Jay Shad trying to put it on the box for the first time in 2025.
Not only put it on the box, but potentially put it on the box in the spot that you most would like to be in, which is the middle slot, the number 1 position. He is battling for a win here today, right now, coming down, and this is it, folks. This is literally the final sections of racetrack. We're coming down very close to a finish, down to less than 2 miles to go, and these guys are flat out 3 riders in the same camera shot in the battle, and this is the battle for the win. Hunter Hart has the lead. Jay Shadron in the number 2 spot. Bryson Neal, your defending and 3-time champion, new father as of yesterday, sorting out the cobwebs, maybe a little bit of lack of sleep, and he is up in the mix and very much battling for what could potentially be a win for him here today.
Absolutely crazy, crazy conditions. This has gone back and forth. Feel like we've had about these 3 different names, 4 different names in the lead throughout this race, and right now Hunter Hart in control. He's got the reins of this race. Shadron trying to, this is just going to, it will be an emotional podium for him if he can hang on to this, and an even more emotional podium if he's somehow able to get around Hart as Neal applying the pressure from that 3 spot.
Yeah, it looks like Bryson Neal already just absolutely using up all of the roll-offs in that machine, or in those goggles, trying to maintain vision back there, getting roasted by not one, but two riders. This one coming out to the fields, and this is going to be a sprint to the finish. From here, it's basically all fields with just a few very short wood sections, and it's going to offer an opportunity for these guys to go not only wheel to wheel, but wheel to wheel to wheel.
And a tough break for Wyatt Wilkin. Took the gamble on what would have been the faster line if he was able to make it happen. Unable to do so. Neil looking like he's going for second. No. Well, maybe.
Well, he's got a drive. He's got a run on Jay Shadron, but Shadron closes the door. Bryce Neal out wide, and he's going to try again. He's got a run on the outside, but it looks like Jay Shadron going to be able to close the door a second time. Jay Shadron not close enough to make a run at Hunter Hart, but Bryce and Neal putting heavy pressure on him, trying to wrestle away the number 2 spot.
Back into the woods we go. They tuck behind the trees, and we just kind of have to lurk. But Hunter Hart in control in the driver's seat, out in front, and pretty much single line through there. They'll get another opportunity, though. There is Hart, there is Shadron, there is Neal. 1, 2, and 3.
You can see the handoff pulling the roll-off string. Jay Shadron trying to get some clear vision, trying to regroup, trying to reload, and go back after Hunter Hart for what could potentially be his first ever GNCC win. We can't hype this one up enough, folks. We've talked about it so much in 2024, so much in 2025. This guy has been through so much with some potentially not only career-ending, but life-altering injuries. And here he is today at the Mason-Dixon GNCC in his home state of Pennsylvania, trying to hold off the defending champion Bryson Neal and in pursuit of Hunter Hart for what could be Jay Shadron's first ever GNCC victory. He's now almost to the rear wheels of Hunter Hart.
Hunter Hart out in front around that turn. This is where these guys are going to have some more opportunity here. Widens up a little bit. And Shadron, a little stretch out right there. Neal being very patient back there in that 3 spot. Oh, man, Pro Row going to be going wild for this one.
What a battle. 3 riders in the same camera shot. 3 riders in the same corner. Bryson Neal trying to square it up. You can see him using every ounce of track, trying to find grip, trying to get some traction, trying to get a run to try to get around Jay Shadron. But Shadron so close to Hunter Hart. And this is it, folks. This is the final section of racetrack. Do not look away. This battle is going to come right down to the final corners.
Hunter Hart trying to capture what would be his second win of the season, and a season of some ups and downs. We can hear him off in the distance from the Racer TV trailer. And it is Hart, Shadron, Neal. They close it in and head back into the woods.
We've got one more little section of woods. They're going to pop out, run across a fast field through just a tiny little section of woods, and then from there, it is just those uphill, downhill chicanes before they come through the finish line, where there will be a checkered flag waving in the hands of Ricky Towery. And folks, this is it. We're coming down to the wire. Can't say enough about this battle. So many storylines, but the one that sticks out the most to me, Mikey, Jay Shadron, looking down the barrel of potentially his first podium after, again, what we've talked about so much, some horrendous injuries, coming back, charging, never giving up. His mother, Jessica, in tears this morning, telling me about how much she knows he's gone through, and this is it. He has the potential to not only put himself on the podium, he's there. Barring a mistake in the final sections of racetrack, he is going to be on the podium today.
Oh, Neal going for it.
Look at that. Bryson Neal squaring him up. Not able to make the move, but he is all over Jay Shadron. But this is it. Hunter Hart has stretched it out a little bit, looking like maybe he's done enough. But Bryson Neal going to take another run at Jay Shadron, try to get around the outside, but looks like Shadron's got the drive to hold him off.
Holy smokes, Jay Shadron hanging on for dear life. Neal taking another shot, going to go way, way wide to try and get a good drive down to the inside right here. Can he set it up? No. Shadron still closing the door on him, and Neal all over.
Yeah.
First into the wood, or second into the woods, but in front of Neal for the moment. Hart first, Shadron second, Neal third. Neal going forward. Neal not giving up. Oh, can he take the inside? No.
Shadron's got the berm, and Hunter Hart now is in the final corner. Looks like it is going to be Hunter Hart grabbing the win. Jay Shadron able to hold off Bryson Neal for the number 2 spot.
Are you kidding me?
And Bryson Neal rounding out your podium in the 3rd place position. You can see the excitement on Jay Shadron, folks. This podium, you know, a podium means so much to any of these guys, but Jay Shadron on the box today, that is absolutely huge.
Hunter Hart almost like, did I win? Was I in first?
Well, keep in mind, he may not have seen Wyatt Wilkin.
Very good point.
He knew Wyatt Wilkin took that other line, and he may have been asking, see, there you go.
Yeah, he's talking about it right now, 100%.
And I never saw him again. Was he in front of me? No. Wyatt Wilkin crossing the line here probably right about now in the number 4 spot, losing out on that exchange. He has checked in. No, he has not still checked in. Bryson Neal, the last rider, checked in.
Holy smokes.
Look at this battle. Looks like Adam McGill and possibly Chris Borich battling down the line. And if we still don't have Wyatt Wilkin, is this for fourth?
We do not. We do not have Wyatt Wilkin.
This could be for a 4th place position battle. And Chris Borich, goggles off, charging through the final corners. Adam McGill just behind him. That was a battle right down to the wire. And according to live timing and scoring, Chris Borich with a 4th place position. Adam McGill rounding out the top 5 just off the podium. Something happening to Wyatt Wilkin there in that final section of racetrack. We did see, there he is now. Looks like he's going to cross the line.
Abney
for 6th. And then Wyatt Wilkin in 7th after going for the lead just a few moments ago, dropping all the way back to the number 7 spot.
A heartbreaker for Wyatt, but at the same time, Johnny, you know, it's cliche, you win some, you lose some, but like he was going for it. He was trying to make an opportunity for himself, just didn't quite play out. And obviously, even in our winners' eyes, he was thinking,
you could see the body language when he crossed the finish line. The question he asked, you heard him say, did I win? Where's Wyatt? And he's still going over in his head. You know, he was just probably charging for all he was worth those final miles, trying to hold off Jay Shadron, trying to hold off Bryson Neal, but also wondering how much time did Wyatt Wilkin pull on us? I can't even see him ahead of us. Turns out that was to be the pass for the lead, ultimately dropping Wyatt Wilkin all the way back to the number 4 spot, losing another 3 positions in the final miles, all the way back to the number 7 spot at the finish.
So we're going to get a word in with 2-time 2025 winner Hunter Hart picking up his 2nd win of the season. Looks like Zach Heron standing by. Take it away, Zach.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, Hunter going to take the chest protector off real quick. He is feeling good, shaking hands, kissing babies, everything that comes along with being a 2-time winner here in 2025. And, man, you see just the layer of mud flying off of Hunter. Oh, that was a white jersey. I had no idea. I didn't realize that. All right, here we are. Hunter Hart, man, got a big smile on the face. Take us through 2nd win of the season, and in conditions like this, does it feel just a little bit sweeter?
Dude, we put those biggies on, and we just start smiling. You know, once those biggies go on, we're just ready to go. And yeah, I mean, pumped. This is the most I've ever led of a GNCC. We worked hard on those starts. My buddy Adam Weckel was up at the house. You know, Mark Notman and Walker and I, we worked hard on those starts on Monday and Tuesday, and it worked. You know, we came out about 4th, had a good line picked out at the hill, went from 4th to 2nd there, and then just made a quick pass on Brandon, probably halfway through the first lap, and from there I said we're gonna run this thing till the wheels fall off, and yeah, it was good. We were able to put in some solid clean laps, and then dude, chaos broke out when they held out that 2-lap card. I was like, no. I was hoping it was gonna be 4 because it was just the bottom was falling out of it quick. And then on the last lap, about the 5.5 when I was biking the track yesterday, I remember seeing a sign that said hard, short, long, or it said easy, super long. And last lap we got there, and I mean there was just quads, and I basically made the decision to go up, and I honestly thought that Bryson and Wyatt had gotten biased there, and then just kind of was pushing there because I was hoping to catch back up. Didn't know we were leading until we came to the finish line, and that was a good day. I'm excited that we get to run big tires at Snowshoe. You know, those Maxxis Razors, Razor 2s, they're what you want to run if you're gonna go fast in the mud. It's good. Awesome points day. Really wanted to rebound after our 6th 2 weekends ago. You know that unfortunately just got stuck behind some people that we couldn't pass. And nice thing at Snowshoe is worst will be off the line is 5th. So we're golden, dude. Just get to carry the momentum. My mom said to me earlier this year, she was like, Hunter, the Mason-Dixon Award, that one's really cool. We should get one of those. I said, I'll try, buddy. And just excited that we were finally able to get her one of those and get 2 wins in a year. I'm glad that it was on a day when all the big dogs were here and ready to go, because I mean, dude, it's sweet. It's good. Got an awesome team behind me, and it's just it's great. You know, GNCC, thank you for building us a raceable track. You know, it was I was joking with Eccles earlier today. I was like, dude, we should put the hard stuff back in, and I'm going to say now he made the right call on what he did out there. But no, I think that GNCC crew, you know, Eccles, Barry, all you guys do a phenomenal job out there.
Hunter Hart got the trophy for Mom and got his second XC1 win. Good job, man.
You know, it's always amazing in these post-race interviews to hear what goes through these guys' heads. You know, Hunter Hart out there thinking, oh, man, I just threw the race away. I took the long, super long, as he said, the sign said, option, the easy way, thinking that he gave up those lead positions not only to Wyatt Wilkin, but he thought Bryson Neal went that way as well. Didn't actually figure it out until he crossed the finish line, you know, asked, hey, what place did I get? They told him he won. So, you know, his heart rate had to just be off the charts those final miles of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one, boy, love hearing from Hunter. This one we've been looking forward to for a long time. Jackson Burrell standing by with Jay Shadron.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with our second place, Jay Shadron. You've had a lot through your way, but you're back up here on the podium, man. You made it through. Take us through your race day here today.
Man, it was crazy. I really didn't know what to expect coming into it. Ended up getting a good start. I couldn't believe it. We were down the hill pretty far. It's kind of like chaos a little bit. I got hit in one of the corners. I was standing straight up and down, but went into the woods third. And we just started going, man. I mean, it was good. The first couple laps was really raceable. Then we started getting into lappers, and it just turned into mass chaos, really. I mean, there was guys in lines. You couldn't go anywhere. You come up a hill, they're halfway up the hill. We'd have to drop off banks, do all kind of crazy stuff. But it's pretty much shuffling around. I mean, I was running second for a while, shuffled back some. We're good. Back into some lappers, and I don't know, the last lap, and I was actually in fourth. I seen Hunter was leading. He went up a hill, cut out of the ruts, and went the easy way around. And I just followed him right away, and them two kept going. So I guess that's where we got him. And I just stayed glued to Hunter, man. I heard Bryson coming back up. He was doing everything he could to get around me, kept showing me wheels. I was just playing block. I was not letting him go, but it was a good day, man. It's awesome to finally be back up here. It's been a long time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Been a few years since we saw you on the podium. What's it mean to be back up here?
Everything, man. It's everything.
All right, there it is, guys. Second place today, Jay Shadron.
Mikey, hard not to sense the frog in the throat there from Jay Shadron.
Rightfully so.
When you ask the question, what's it mean to be back on a GNCC podium? Everything.
Everything, yeah.
Absolutely everything. And folks, that's not about race results.
Nope.
That's about everything that he's been through in the last 2 years. Again, we'll let him tell his story.
Oh, for
but
sure.
Some horrific injuries, life-altering, potentially career-ending, and so many people saying, hey, man, it's time for you to give up this ATV racing thing. Just move on with life. You're a married man now. Jay Shadron, a passion for ATV racing, a passion for GNCC racing, saying, I'm going to do the work despite the odds, and not only am I going to come back, I'm going to come back stronger than I was, and he proved it today.
It's absolutely crazy. A historical season of GNCC. Jay Shadron, you're now a permanent piece of that, no doubt, and a historical year for Bryson Neal, who finished third today, and I believe Jackson Burrell standing by with the new dad.
Yeah, I sure am. I'm here with Bryson Neal. Bryson, your first race as a dad. I'm sure this is going to be a short interview. You want to get back home, but take us through it. If you didn't quite get the win here today, but still up on the podium.
Yeah, man, we jumped out to an awesome start, man. We clicked the gears good down the start straight. I was the first one in the first corner, and dude, I got plowed, and I was pretty peed off about that one. Didn't even seem like they even hit their brakes, but that put me in the back of the pack, and won a muddy race with the goggles, packing the radiator, all that. We was climbing our way back to the pack, and I think I got about the 6th place. There's a split line. I didn't want to go to the left. I made up my mind a little bit too late, so I jumped out of it, came back right, and I had to do like a little U-turn, and I lost some more position back, 8th, 9th, and we just climbed a ladder. And the track was pretty good. A lot of places around here. Honestly, I think the dirt bikes, by the time they hit the track, the pro guys tomorrow, it'll probably be pretty dang good for them. There's a lot of good, dry, good dirt out there that's coming up, but whenever it was bad, it was really bad. And we the last 2-3 laps with Hunter and Jay Shad, Wyatt was there. Man, we hit some bottlenecks, some lap riders, and some hairy spots, and it was just survival, just trying to get through. And it was fun. I can't lie. I was pumped for Jay Shad on the last lap, and I saw his post of the last one. He said the podium's calling his name, and he got it done today. So I'm pumped for him. Pumped for him to get another win, and me to have a new baby girl. And, and just so thankful to get on the podium today in this crazy mud race and be able to go home to her.
Bryson, we're headed to the mountain. What's your thoughts heading into Snowshoe?
Thoughts going into snowshoes, you know, I, as much as I want to say, you know, championship, this and that, Adam McGill, went 3 in a row. We're heating up. We've had 2 in a row the last 2 years, so we want to try to get the 3-peat and then try to get up there and battle the Gator and battle Walker for the mountain. So bring it on.
All right, you heard it, guys. We'll let him get home. That's your 3rd place, Bryson Neal.
Hey, maybe a new king of snowshoe entering the chat right there, and none other than Bryson Neal, B. Neal. How about that? So, man, Johnny, what a day. I think we're going to take a look here at our specialized race recap. And, boy, coming into today, we had, like, absolute downpour Friday. I've never seen – I'm from the Midwest, man, and I've never seen the rain like we had coming into this yesterday evening. No rain today, some sprinkles early on, but it definitely set the stage for another mutter here at GNCC.
Yeah, the starting line was just absolutely chaos. I mean, it was so much mud, so slick, all off camber. But right off the rip, you can actually see, looked like Bryson Neal had a great jump, then got tagged in the rear. And Chris Borich sneaking through for that whole shot,
cool.
But very quickly to the front. It was the 246 of Brandon Owens sneaking around the outside there. And then you can see Jay Shadron climbing over the front of Stephen Harrell's bike. The XC2 start was all Braxton Gross. The 223 machine out front, and just behind him the 341 of Jeremiah Wolf. Those were the quickest 2 off the line in our XC2 Pro-Am class.
Braxton Gross, boy, just the West Coast kid, man, has been absolutely sensational. And as this one went on, man, Bryson Neal looking good. Pit stop strategy coming into play a little bit for these guys today as well.
Yeah, and Hunter Hart, once he got to the front, it seemed like he just kind of controlled things. He had great lines. He had great speed all day. Was making good decisions. We saw that pan out a little bit later in the race and really ultimately play a huge factor. When they came down to the pit stops, it was literally like you could see just riders crossing over each other. So many riders in the pits at the same time. Just chaos. Wyatt Wilkin, great charge from him to get himself up in the mix. Ultimately, at one point on the last lap, going for the lead, but he had a great charge all day long.
Yeah, Wyatt Wilkin, it's a tough break for him, too. You got to hand it to him. Going for that opportunity to take the lead did not quite pan out, but as you'd mentioned, Johnny, by the body language and the post-race interviews from Hunter and Bryson, very well could have went the other way for Wyatt. But
yeah, and this was the moment. Hunter Hart gets across the line. Jay Shadron tucks in behind him in the number 2 spot, able to hold off a very hard-charging Bryson Neal to finish. Here it was. Hunter Hart, did I win?
No
what
way.
Place did I get? He thinks he lost 2 spots when he took that line, not actually realizing he did hang on to the lead, and he won the race. This was the moment where he realized, hey, this was it. We got it done. Jay Shadron second, and Bryson Neal rounding out your podium here at the Mason-Dixon GNCC.
What a race. Well, that one is in the books as far as ATVs are concerned. The thing about snowshoe now, but your top 10, Hart, Shadron, and Neal, your top 3. Chris Borich, are you kidding me? Turning back the clock, he had a whole shot, a top 5. McGill, throw him in that conversation too, a top 5. Abney, Wilkin, Fowler, Eller, and Harrell rounding out your top 10 today.
Yeah, it was a mix-up. It was a shake-up. A lot of up and down the leaderboard for a lot of riders, but ultimately, man, Hunter Hart getting it done, and Mikey, I'm going to go ahead and take the point on this.
Go for it.
Final thoughts on today, and I'm going to go first because I want to say it first.
That's fair. Okay.
Jay Shadron, welcome back to the podium.
Yeah.
Guys, as a commentator, as a former racer, without getting emotional, what it takes to do it at that level is something few people will understand. What it takes to do it at that level after you've been through what Jay Shadron's been through, that's superhuman stuff. Shout out to you, buddy. That was awesome. Congratulations on the podium, Jay Shadron. And also, new father, Bryson Neal, on the box. Just another day at the office for him. Great ride for Hunter Hart, obviously grabbing his second win at 2025.
Yeah, I think the 3 guys that maybe need a storyline the most were the ones that were in the top 3 today. Hunter Hart, he's trying to get things turned around. He is obviously capable, and he did that with the first place. Bryson Neal, a new dad. We wondered whether or not he'd even race today. He did. He had the success at top 3, but I double down with Johnny, man. Jay Shad, just stoked for him. It wasn't long ago at Big Buck. I'm interviewing him. He's in a motorized chair, and we're wondering at that point, will this guy ever even race again? Should he ever even race again? He sure as hell should, and boy, he did it and put it on display today with the top 2. It does it. That right there is what GNCC Racing's all about.
Yeah, I'll go on record. Prove me wrong, buddy. When I heard he was coming back after the most recent injury, again, even the one before that he was coming back and he was going to race XC1, I just thought, man, this guy, he just doesn't realize this isn't possible.
Yeah.
Thanks for proving me wrong, buddy. Because it is possible. You did it today.
Love it. That was a good one. That is going to wrap things up for us here today. We got more coming up on RacerTV.com. We've got bikes tomorrow slotted for a 1 o'clock start time. We'll try to go live there on Racer TV at 12:30. And then we got round number 9, Snowshoe GNCC. And then we head to South Haven for the Bagger Racing League in round number 5 up yonder way in Michigan. But that is going to wrap things up for us here today. On behalf of Jackson Burrows, Zach Herron, Johnny Gallagher, our camera operators, Matt, Leah, Josh, Adam, John, Kirsten, and Adam, our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, our moto filmer, Brian Risch, our manager, Dan Reinhart, our official spotter, Mike Holbert, our second engineer, Jack Renner, our engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our replay operator, Cam Cotter, our director, Don Hampton, producer, Adam Gordon, and our executive producer, Ms. Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes, and you've been watching GNCC on RacerTV.com. And one more thing, Pacers in 6. Good night.